Frustration comes in many forms, but in the end, it all feels the same. Close calls, missed opportunities, debilitating injuries, and inconsistent play has mired a season of hope for one and postponed potential progress for another. For Tennessee and South Carolina, frustration can be absolved for one night. A win can mean everything: redemption, relevance, or resentment.
And so here we are, Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, and two teams hungry for a win. Welcome to SEC Network Primetime Football. Tennessee looking for its first conference win of the season against a South Carolina team trying to stay on pace and ahead of the rush to be bowl eligible. Tennessee takes the field, needing to win 3 of their last 4 to make it to the postseason. And the Gamecocks, clad in their all black, on the night after Halloween, hoping for a prime-time performance. And welcome everybody to Columbia, South Carolina. Tom Hart alongside Matt Stinchcomb for both of these teams. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Tennessee proved that last week against Alabama, once again pulling the red shirt off of the talented quarterback Josh Dobbs.
You know, Butch Jones is so fond of saying, I'm raising a program here at the University of Tennessee. Well, apparently he felt like they needed a growth spurt last week. They hadn't scored a touchdown in the previous 2 SEC matchups. And so they stuck Josh Dobbs in there. They wanted to keep him redshirted, preserve another year of eligibility, but he played very well versus an Alabama defense that wasn't expecting his mobility at the quarterback position. And he also made some throws, enough to make Lorenzo Ward, the defensive coordinator for South Carolina, respect that element of Tennessee's offense.
And then there's South Carolina, where Steve Spurrier has learned that he needs to win on the scoreboard to win a game. The defense has been struggling, and the head ball coach was perhaps at his play calling best last week against Auburn. If you love a wide open offense, that's what you got from the Gamecocks.
Well, Steve Spurrier said, I'm not going to go down looking in this ball game. I'm going to keep my offense out on the field as much as I can. Going forward on 4th down multiple times, 6 different opportunities, stealing a possession with an onside kick. He was incredibly aggressive with his offensive play calling, and it kept South Carolina in the game, but it wasn't enough. And in his words, it was almost a fun one, but ultimately it comes down to getting victories. Both of these teams should come out swinging tonight.
We'll see what his mindset is tonight. Heather Mitts is standing by with Steve Spurrier.
Thanks, Tom. Coach, you were really aggressive last week in your play calling against Auburn. What can we expect tonight from your offense?
We're going to try to call it normal. We got to believe we can slow down Tennessee. We just didn't have confidence we could slow Auburn down. But it should be a heck of a game tonight. I think both teams are really ready to play.
With Josh Dobbs, the starting quarterback, and him presenting a dual threat, what concerns you the most about him?
Well, we got to stop the run first. We got to stop the run against everybody we play. So hopefully we can do that.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Heather, thank you. The head ball coach still going with the visor despite snow on the ground in some areas of the Palmetto State today. South Carolina won the toss. The Gamecocks have elected to receive. Aaron Medley gets us started. This is Sean Carson from the 2. Out past the 20. And that's where South Carolina will set up shop today, under the direction of Dylan Thompson, who had a monster game last week on the flats against Auburn. His numbers on the season, nearly 61% completions. He's thrown for over 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns against 9 picks, including 5 last week.
Well, they did get the win on Dylan Thompson's arm last week, but maybe his best game passing since 2012 versus the hated rival of South Carolina in a victory over Clemson. They're not going to want to have to ride his arm in this ball game. Coach Spurrier wants to call it straight versus the Tennessee offense.
And they'll do that by turning to Mike Davis on first down, and Davis fights for a couple. A.J. Johnson, the SEC's leading tackler, in for the first of what will likely be many stops today.
Yeah, we better get used to tossing out that name, and you can see some festive colors on A.J. Johnson trailing out of his helmet, but what usually comes the middle linebacker of Tennessee is tackles all over the football field, sideline to sideline. Will be very active tonight versus South Carolina's run game.
Thompson lets it go for the first time, and that's complete to Damiere Byrd to near midfield. Byrd getting the start today in front of Shaq Rowland. Ladario McNeil finally with a stop for Tennessee and a first down.
This is a guy they want to get going a little bit. Damiere Byrd is their deep threat. When you look at the air yards that they attempt, the deepest ones are typically to Byrd from his outside receiver position. As much as Pharoh Cooper has figured into this passing game, Coach Spurrier wants to spread it around a little bit, and now early Damiere Byrd involved in the offense.
They bring a couple of tight ends onto the field now as Pharoh Cooper motions to the near slot. Non-play action. Thompson has time. Uncorks one deep and just overthrew Byrd. Byrd had man coverage once again. McNeil, the safety, trying to match up with it.
Already South Carolina with a big play, 15 yards or more. They were able to generate 11 of those plays last week versus Auburn. That's an area of the offense that hasn't been quite as explosive as it was a season ago. But you can see tonight, already aggressive with downfield passing. Dylan Thompson just a little too much juice on that last pass.
Here comes the blitz. Thompson takes a hit from the backside. He goes down face first after Jordan Williams tipped it away for Tennessee.
See, that time it's not something that Tennessee does very often. They blitz less than really conference average. You see they're just late getting his big mid up to deny the catch. Dylan Thompson's taken some shots. He was pressured last week, cost South Carolina 2 red zone turnovers. Keep an eye on how many shots the quarterback for South Carolina takes in this ball game and whether or not Tennessee continues to heat him up.
43% their conversion rate on third down. They went for it a ton on fourth down last week. To the outside, and that's complete but short of the sticks to Nick Jones. And this is a spot where Steve Spurrier would definitely go for it. In fact, of their 6 fourth down attempts last week, 4 of them came in their own territory.
And in this game, in speaking with Coach Spurrier earlier, we said, what does it look like? He says, I want to call it differently this week. Well, already an opportunity to maintain a possession on the plus side of the field this time in Tennessee territory.
They need 3 for the first down. On the slant, knocked away. Great coverage from Tennessee, and Justin Coleman on Pharoh Cooper.
One of Dylan Thompson's favorite targets is Pharoh Cooper, and rightfully so. Sure-handed and a good route runner, especially with the ball in his hands after he makes a completion. But Justin Coleman jumps all over this route. He can feel it, and look at him break on the ball and get his hand right in front of Pharoh Cooper. Excellent defense by Justin Coleman. The Tennessee defense has played pretty well all season long, and especially versus the pass.
So the fourth down gamble puts the ball in Tennessee's hands, and their sophomore quarterback Josh Dobbs to Jalen Hurd out of the backfield. Hurd running guys over and takes it down to the 42. Dobbs was a starter tail end of last year as a freshman, and now he's burned his red shirt again. For the second straight year, they've taken it off against Alabama. He's a bright kid, an aerospace engineer major, but his practice habits and performances don't necessarily match up with what the coaches expect. And there's a flag on the play. Dobbs last year became the 8th true freshman to start at quarterback in Tennessee history.
Prior to the snap, false start, 73 offense, 5-yard penalty, still forced down.
Matt Austin, our referee. But he was the 3rd in 4 years. Tyler Bray, Justin Worley, the other two. Kind of a snapshot of where this Tennessee program has been since roughly 2008. Hands it off on the end around, and a beautiful open field tackle on Pig Howard. He is cut down by Sherrod Golightly.
Sherrod Golightly has been the most consistent performer for South Carolina on defense. From his spur linebacker position, you see Pig Howard blowing through the backfield on the fly sweep. He could Golightly jet upfield underneath the block of Levon Pearson and make the tackle.
2nd and 14 for Dobbs. The knock on Dobbs is his accuracy, especially 10 yards or further downfield. He is a great runner. The down and distance may take that away. Over the middle, incomplete. Ethan Wolf, the tight end, was the intended receiver.
And Ethan Wolf can figure to play a big part of this passing offense from his tight end position. That time, the ball out in front of him. Well, Butch Jones lamented Joshua Dobbs passing last week, needing to hit the open throws on underneath routes and intermediate distance downfield versus just the big bombs downfield.
He threw for 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception, and he missed a few others as his head coach laid out into coverage and incomplete. Overthrew Marquez North.
You can see a little bit in Joshua Dobbs early in this game, getting his first start of the season. We mentioned he had made appearances last year in the Alabama game is where it started, and it was an inauspicious start at best. First games that he played up until the season finale versus Kentucky, no touchdowns and 5 picks, and a little bit nervous clearly on the road on some of those throws.
Matt Dart to punt it away. The always dangerous Pharoh Cooper stands at his 10. A short kick. Cooper signals for a fair catch and dangerously takes it at the 21 with a man in his face. 26-yard punt for Matt Darr. And on a chilly night in the Midlands, we're scoreless through 1 possession each. Let's get to our bold prediction brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, there have been some moments this season where Pharoh Cooper was relatively quiet. But after the Vanderbilt game, I think they recognized the playmaker they have in him. Incredibly versatile, taking shovel passes out of the H-back position. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He can work the middle of the field. More importantly, though, he is incredibly dangerous with the ball in his hands. And as many touches as they can get him, the better. I think he goes for north of 200 yards tonight in total offense.
He's been over 100 each of the last 5 games. Getting 7 touches a game and 4 touchdowns to show for it. Special teams, offense, they even had him in the Wildcat in recent history. May see that a time or two tonight. Cooper in motion as they put him in the slot again. Mike Davis with his 2nd carry of the night to the 25. A.J. Johnson with another stop. Steve Spurrier told Heather Mitts before the game, and he reiterated to us yesterday, the run game is key. We have to be able to run the football. Don't be fooled by the high numbers of passing yardage that Thompson put up last week. Thompson chased, and he's able to dump it off to his tight end. That's good for a South Carolina first down to Jarrell Adams as we meet Stinch's Stars.
Here's Jarrell Adams, had Pharoh Cooper deep, but we've got a couple other playmakers in this game. Nick Jones, second maybe only to Cooper for one of Dylan Thompson's favorite targets, and A.J. Cann is a game changer. It's hard to be that at left guard, but he was dominating versus Auburn. We've mentioned A.J. Johnson, and Cameron Sutton is a shutdown type of a corner. They're going to ask him to do a lot in this ball game, especially if they're looking to get Damiere Byrd and Shaq Rowland going in the passing game.
Brandon Wilds is now in the backfield with Mike Davis. Thompson trying to swing it to him. This is Davis down the sideline trying to outrun guys. And he's got a nifty move back to the inside. McNeil with the tackle as Mike Davis takes the swing pass for 34 yards.
Well, Mike Davis is a physical runner, but he's also an excellent receiver out of the backfield. And in fact, another one of those guys that's a big piece, a fixture in their passing offense. When they lost Rory Anderson at tight end, you had to know that it couldn't just come from the wide receiver position. Mike Davis can hurt you badly in the passing game out of the backfield.
Play action to Davis. Deep out. That's complete to Cooper, and he pays the price. Immediately taken down by Cameron Sutton. Maybe the best cover corner for Tennessee. That's the first time I remember Sutton's been matched up with Cooper.
Well, this time they're in his own defense, and Sutton ends up playing the outside receiver for Cooper, who worked towards the boundary. He comes up and makes a nice lick, but not until after Cooper completes it, the reception. And you can see there the numbers. A lot of those are backloaded. First couple of games this season, going into the Commodore game, was really his breakout.
Pharoh Cooper now in a Wildcat formation as they split Thompson out wide. He hands off to Davis, and Davis is able to get forward for a few.
We mentioned, Cooper completed a pass last week to Dylan Thompson, much to the lament of head coach Steve Spurrier. He didn't like that his quarterback ducked out of bounds a little early, thought he could pick up another couple of yards. But they need that threat as well. What Cooper brings them is that element of the zone read where he can actually be a runner, something Thompson isn't.
And once again, he gives it up. Davis gets wrestled to the ground by Corey Vereen. And that'll bring up third down, consecutive plays in the Wildcat for Pharoh Cooper.
You see another change that was made in the start of this game was at center. Clayton Stadnick, number 54, is the center in this ball game. There have been some wild snaps from Ellen Knott, who was in there before. Dylan Thompson having to play shortstop at times just to try to take the shotgun snap.
Third straight snap for Cooper out of the Wildcat. This time he calls his own number, and it results in 6. Pharoh Cooper with the rushing touchdown from 11 yards out. "78-yard drive for South Carolina. Pharoh Cooper handling the signal calling for the final 3 plays of it. And now Fry will line up for the extra point. His holder is Patrick Fish. Nice balance on the second possession tonight for South Carolina. Dylan Thompson got the ball to Mike Davis, and this 34-yard gain was instant offense for the Cox. And then they turn to Cooper. He does the rest himself. 7-0 Carolina.
SEC Network Primetime Football is brought to you by Auto Owners Insurance. Highest in customer satisfaction. Find your local agent at AutoOwners.com.
They are ramped up here at Williams-Brice Stadium for another kickoff. Who knew a Swedish DJ could have such an influence on Southeastern Conference football?
Well, Jan Stenerud, wasn't he Swedish? Or Scandinavian or something?
I don't know that Jan Stenerud was a DJ.
Pretty good ball player, though. It's a great atmosphere, that's for sure. You mentioned snow flurries. You look out of it now, these towels spinning around. These fans are definitely into it after that drive.
They have kept some Tennessee fans from reaching Columbia. Only a foot of snow in the Tennessee mountains this morning. Evan Berry won't get a chance for a return. Let's take a look at what helped Pharoh Cooper get open.
We mentioned the shotgun snaps. You can't see him, but this is Clayton Stadnick. We mentioned him. He got the start. Watch him pull and get a nice block on Reeves Maben from his weak linebacking position. A huge hole for Pharoh Cooper to stroll into the end zone. You see the versatility from number 11 for South Carolina. I asked Coach Spurrier, can he get any more touches? He said, I don't know how much more we can do with him right now. We got to get some other folks to contribute. But on that drive, Pharoh Cooper looked a little bit like Amari Cooper last week.
Jalen Hurd and Marlon Lane flank Dobbs. This is Lane. He has nowhere to go. Tackled for a loss by Sherrod Golightly. Already a couple of big plays for the fifth-year senior from Decatur, Georgia.
Last week versus Auburn, the South Carolina defense had opportunities to make plays. They would get penetration. They'd have tackles available to them at the line of scrimmage. couldn't get the Auburn ball carriers on the ground. Now here tonight, able to get tackles for loss.
Dobbs exits the quarterback spot. Direct snap to Hurd. He's got it on the right side and a first down. Jonathan Walton with the tackle. Well, if Tennessee has watched any tape on South Carolina, they know they are vulnerable to the quarterback run. Stinch's Stars.
You can see JT Surratt is going to have to be a big factor in the run defense, of course, from his defensive tackle spot. And Bryson Williams, who can play corner and safety. Jalen Hurd, the ball carrier out of the Wildcat on that previous snap. We've seen North targeted as well.
This time the quarterback keeps it himself after faking the handoff. TJ Gurley with the tackle on Dobbs. If Tennessee can convert on 2nd and 11, then essentially they're staying out of passing downs, and that's exactly what they need to do with Dobbs at quarterback.
That's the idea. What they don't want to do, of course, is place their first-time starter, at least in this season anyway, in these obvious passing predicaments. Pick up some yardage on 2nd down and make it 3rd and manageable.
Von Pearson in motion. Dobbs is going to throw this time. They look for the screen. Instead, he goes deep, wide open. First down, Tennessee. This is Pearson, and he's got it all the way down with extra effort inside the 20. There's a flag down after the 42-yard gain back at the 47-yard line. Somehow it seems Dobbs is better on deep balls.
Personal foul, face mask, 3 of the defense. Penalty be enforced half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Chris Lamons gets flagged.
You know, this time, we're going to see this a lot. They're going to blow Levon Pearson through the offensive backfield, and it makes the defense adjust. Either you've got a trail guy in man coverage, or you've got to make the switch. And you see there late a face mask, but another deep ball completed versus the South Carolina defense.
I think the face mask was on the opposite side of the field, 40 yards from the play. This is Hurd through the traffic, down to the 5. Marquise Roberts with the stop. Lamons, who's been starting at corner the last 4 games, was tied up with Josh Malone on the other side of the field to add 15 to the 42-yard gain. 2nd and goal, Tennessee. Dobbs has it in his hands, trying to win the race, and he knifes his way through, but lost the football. South Carolina has it. Roberts recovers in the end zone.
Dobbs does a good job on the pull read, and you see what...
Yeah, the question is whether or not he was down via the shoulder or the elbow. Boy, yeah. I don't know.
You see it right here as his elbow goes down. He possessed it. It looks to me like his elbow making contact is what forced him to lose control of the football. We're going to take a look at it again. Of course, the ruling being a touchback, you got to have indisputable video evidence. This look, it's hard to tell. That previous look at it, it appeared to me that he had control of the football until his left elbow that would establish him down caused the ball to come out.
Well, it could be the elbow, it could be the shoulder to establish him as down, and maybe that's the difference. Perhaps that shoulder was down a fraction of a second before the elbow was. Does he have control there? And is it enough to overrule the call on the field?
It looks to me like, regardless of what they establish as him down, he controlled the football prior to either the shoulder or the elbow touching.
And the only difference on whether or not it was recovered or out of bounds will be relevant to Marquise Roberts' final stat line, because it would be South Carolina football regardless at the 20, either recovered by Roberts or the fumble out of bounds in the end zone. So the ruling on the field is fumble on Tennessee's first significant drive of the night for Volunteer team, which is looking to get back to the postseason. They haven't won a bowl game since the 2007 Outback Bowl, and they need to win 3 of their last 4 to even make it to a bowl.
And as they review this, you can imagine what the coaches are thinking. Dobbs early in the series
After
last week.
review, the runner was down prior to losing possession of the ball. Therefore, it will be 3rd and goal inside the 1.
But Butch Jones right now is saying, look, we don't want to be in these scenarios. We don't want to be in a situation where we need a review. The ball came shooting out versus Alabama last week. And right here, secure the football. I think that was a good overruling by the replay booth.
Jalen Hurd is the tailback behind Joshua Dobbs. Hurd stopped. It was Bryson Allen Williams to force 4th and goal.
South Carolina, when they got in the red zone versus Auburn last week, they would get in a bear defense. That covers up both your guards and your center, basically saying, we're going to deny any inside run. That time, Bryson Allen Williams came shooting out around the formation and was able to make the tackle.
South Carolina late in coverage, covering those 2 receivers at the top. Tennessee gave him time to get set, and now Hurd straight ahead into the pile, and he's stopped on 4th and goal. Who knew this was going to be a game of 4th down stops? We've already had 2 in the first quarter.
Great job of establishing the line of scrimmage. Look, no push by the interior 3. South Carolina's defensive tackles from guard to guard said we're not going to cede an inch, and it allowed the linebackers to run downhill.
Tennessee's weakest link is its offensive line, and they chose to go straight ahead on 4th and goal down a touchdown in the first quarter in a must-win game for Butch Jones and the Vols. Defense, the Stars early on. (7-0) South Carolina. Tennessee head coach Butch Jones hates losing, and Ethan Wolf is learning that.
Ethan Wolf's a true freshman, and right now they're looking for him to insert right here and end up blocking on a linebacker. Watch left tackle Kyler Kurbison step out. Instead, Wolf blocks the backside to seal the backside of the blocking scheme. And you see Butch Jones, I think he was intended to be the lead blocker, and that time instead South Carolina would have had a free hat in the hole. I think regardless of what Ethan Wolf would have done in that tackle gap, it wouldn't have mattered because of the utter lack of push by the interior portion of the Tennessee offensive front. And I'm a little bit surprised, and I think you are too, Tom, that they didn't give a mobile quarterback and Josh Dobbs an opportunity to escape the pocket with a run-pass option. As it is, South Carolina with a big stop.
Brandon Wilds is the tailback. Tennessee showing pressure. A.J. Johnson ran to the line. Gamecocks now have 7 seconds in the play clock as Thompson goes to the shotgun. Pressure coming. Thompson lets one go deep. Well overthrown and intercepted. Picked off by Justin Coleman. And Coleman inside the 20. Tennessee in business with Coleman's 2nd interception of the season. Thompson has to deal with the wind tonight. And the flag show it's going about 3 different ways. It was a 21-yard return. There's a flag down, I believe, on the return.
Take a look right up here. We're going to see what happens and whether or not. Nah, that's just that's a bad ball initially from Dylan Thompson. He and Demir Byrd clearly on
ruling
different
is an
pages.
interception after the play, blocking the back, 37 of the return team. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul, 1st down.
So that will cost Tennessee some yardage, but the takeaway still belongs to the Vols.
We've seen this a little bit, with Dylan Thompson going into the end zone, not necessarily coming out of it. He's had a couple of balls that get away from it. He had one that was a little bit high with pressure in his face last week, trying to get the ball to Nick Jones and Shaq Rowland in the end zone, resulting in turnovers. And then this one, you see him visiting with Demir Byrd. Either that ball sailed on him or Byrd was running a post route. Thompson and his receiver on different pages.
This is Hurd. And another big run for the freshman from Hendersonville, Tennessee, Jalen Hurd, the 3rd leading freshman rusher in the SEC that time. He takes it for 16.
It's a good job of getting outside, and you see what the zone read will do. It slowed down David Johnson, number 55 at the defensive end position. He had the C gap. Hurd was able to get outside. He was the unblocked defender. That's the influence of Joshua Dobbs in the run game.
Ball was loose, and it's fallen on by Dobbs. He had Pearson cutting through. He had Hurd going ahead, and Dobbs also an option to keep it. That time he lost it.
There's a lot of ball handling. That time it was Pearson, I think, as he was running through on the fly sweep that knocked it out of Dobbs' hands. I don't know if Dobbs was trying to make that handoff, and Pearson just didn't give him a good pocket. It's the ball carrier's job to find the football because the quarterback is watching the defense.
Pearson again coming through. Dobbs looks his way. Pump fake worked again this week. And Dobbs scrambles out of bounds. He had a beautiful pump fake last week against Alabama that sprung him for a first down run. And Dobbs with an 8-yard scramble.
And those pump fakes, you put a defender in such a bad spot. If he ends up throwing the football, of course, they usually leave their feet. So worst thing a defender can do. See the pressure from Bryson Allen Williams as he came up. That time he was able to keep his feet. But Dobbs showing that scrambling ability.
3rd and 6. Quick release, no one there. There's a flag that came in late. Marquez North is a roommate of Josh Dobbs, so you can bet there's some familiarity there. He wants to get him the football, and Lamons gets flagged.
Pass interference, defense number 3. Ball to be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
It's a second key flag against Chris Lamons tonight.
See Lamons right here matched up with North on the outside. And as you mentioned, 2 costly penalties with Tennessee driving now. North can't get underneath. See Lamons mugging him right off the line of scrimmage. He had the face mask penalty on the previous big completion to Levon Pearson. And now this one to give Tennessee the yardage and a first down.
This is Hurd. Nice little zip arm, and he's inside the 10. Taking bystanders out. There's a late flag. And that'll move Tennessee even closer to the goal line.
You see something that Jalen Hurd is doing better as the season unfolds. He's dealing with tacklers as they come up. I mean, earlier on in this season, minimal yards after contact. Went down very easily. He and both Leonard Fournette, the true freshman, getting better at that.
Following the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 28 of the defense, late hit out of bounds. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And we got a chain down.
That's the second chain gang casualty we've seen this year. That time, though, Jonathan Walton, you see him late coming in there. He's playing in relief of Sky Moore, the leading tackler for South Carolina. Not only a costly penalty, but now there's going to be some additional equipment costs for Ray Tanner.
The AD reaching into his pocket. He'd rather reach in for torn down goalposts. This is Martin Lane taking it near the goal line. Stop short.
That time, pretty good push by Tennessee's offensive front as you see them jumping the ball and trying to catch South Carolina getting lined up.
Lane, no, Dobbs has it, and he is just shy. And that'll set up 3rd and goal.
Nice job by T.J. Gurley. T.J. Gurley at his safety position is the type where he's physical enough to play him close to the line of scrimmage, not just in the red zone, but you'll see him on field plays as well, where they'll roll him down into the box to provide run support. But another chance for Tennessee to avenge the stuff last time that they got by this South Carolina defense. Be surprised if they don't move the pocket this time around.
Option, reverse off of it, and Pig Howard trying to outrun the defense. That'll do, Pig. That'll do.
Nice play call by Mike Bajakian. You know, last time Tennessee went right into the teeth of the South Carolina defensive front. This time, out of the cat, Jalen Hurd. The nice flip to Pig Howard. That will do. Just as long as it results in 6 points. and Tennessee able to get on the board.
It started with a Dylan Thompson interception, and Tennessee's defense able to set up its offense for the score. Medley for the extra point. Tennessee had great field position on consecutive drives. The first time they were stopped. The second time they got South Carolina stuck in their own web. The interception didn't have the head ball coach happy. Even less happy after this Pig Howard long run from a yard out. All right, Dari, thanks. It's been kind of a wild day in the Southeastern Conference, but then again, anytime there's measurable snow in the Palmetto State on November 1st, you could expect the unexpected.
Yeah, when you're getting out the tire chains.
They shut down a stretch of Interstate 40 between Tennessee and the Carolina line as some of those Vol fans got stuck in the mountains today. Luckily, my color analyst made it just fine. The earliest snow on record for Columbia beat the 1909 record. And oh, by the way, Georgia also lost to Florida. This is Carson. He's tripped up at the 20. Nice open field tackle. So the SEC East, you could say, is wide open. But right now, a Missouri team that lost at home to Indiana is in first place.
Yeah, you look at them sitting at, coming into the game anyway with just the one loss to the University of Georgia, and that was really fueled by turnovers. Now, we've seen them recently in the offense that had difficulty getting going, but they handled Kentucky. They've got 3 conference games left, including a matchup versus the University of Tennessee with us here tonight. And then they've got Texas A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas at home for Missouri. A very real chance for the Tigers in a second straight division victory.
And by the way, Georgia still has Auburn coming to the Classic City.
Substitution, 28 of the offense, 12 men in the formation, 5-yard penalty, still first out.
Mike Davis was the man flag. That's a penalty marker that Butch Davis would have been happy to see last week against Alabama. That and illegal substitution. First drive, they failed on their 4th down conversion. Second drive, they finished with 3 plays out of the Wildcat. And the third drive, a pick on the very first play. This time they go underneath to Adams, his second grab of the night. And the tight end is a good weapon for South Carolina once again. Steve Spurrier has always been a fun coach, and I mean that in every sense of the word. But when he realizes that he has to be wide open to win a game, that's when the fun quotient hits an all-time high.
And the danger quotient for defenses, that's for sure.
A stop up the middle on Mike Davis. A couple of balls there, led by Ryan Randolph.
The difficulty you face when you've got a Steve Spurrier who's willing to go for it on 4th down is it changes your mindset, not only for your defense, but for your coaches as well. You get a 2nd down or a 3rd down play, you think you're defending 4 yards, you're not. Perhaps he's just trying to gain on the sticks a little bit to make it 4th and short to see if he can continue the possession.
8 in the box for Tennessee. Thompson finds Cooper, makes the first man miss, and gets an extra yard by staying in bounds. A move that his coach thought not enough Gamecocks took advantage of last week against Alabama.
Certainly not from Pharaoh Cooper, one of the coach's favorites, not just Steve Spurrier's. And you can see, already that previous touchdown drive that South Carolina staged, and Pharaoh Cooper out of the Wildcat, but he's also dangerous this time out wide at the top of the formation.
They go to Cooper. Somehow he found a soft spot. And maybe the reason he found a soft spot is because he ran Mike Davis underneath him. And as you pointed out earlier, Davis is a great receiver out of the backfield.
He is. He's going to get the attention of the defense. And what Tennessee does a great job of is keeping you in front of them. They're a good pass defense. They get some picks. They don't give up a lot of yardage. Not a lot of yards downfield and contested throws. But they'll give up some yards after the catch. They'll give up the completion, but they'll make the tackle in front of them.
South Carolina pass happy here early on. Something that came back to bite him in the 4th quarter against Kentucky. David Williams is the tailback. his first touch. And he goes straight up the middle for a South Carolina first down. Gashing the Vols until McNeil takes him down outside the 40.
I wonder if Tennessee wasn't misaligned on that run. You see big Brandon Shell down, right tackle for South Carolina. But it looked to me like the defensive front was overshifted. Look at this. You don't have a defender anywhere from center all the way to tight end, and A.J. Johnson scrambling around. You don't have to block anybody, and Brandon Shell got rolled up late by Jarrell Adams. I think the defensive front was misaligned clearly. Perhaps that's what the senior veteran signal caller for Tennessee and A.J. Johnson was trying to straighten out.
So Shell comes off. Will Sport, one of the guys that went in there, along with Mason Zandy. So there may be some shuffling on that South Carolina line. First quarter nearing in, and Dylan Thompson will say, we'll just wait to get a snap off. They'll have the wind at their back, and it's been gusting to nearly 20 miles an hour out of the south thus far tonight. It has been the closest played rivalry in the SEC since the turn of the century, and that's again what we have tonight. And a great atmosphere in Columbia through one quarter. We are all even at 7. We are tied at 7 on a chilly night in Columbia, South Carolina. For more on this weather, let's go down to the sidelines and say hello to Heather Mitz.
Hi, Tom. Yes, it's 49 degrees right now, but it was a lot cooler this morning. It actually snowed. It was the first earliest snow in 125 years here in Columbia. But I tell you what, you know who was not affected was Tennessee linebacker A.J. Johnson, who was out here during pre-game without his shirt on. Tell you what, both teams have heaters on the sideline, and you know where to find me.
Yeah, and what makes it weird for A.J. is he wears long sleeves every day, even during practice in the summer. Kurt Magid was shirtless, so was Jakob Johnson, the Tennessee linebackers. Not afraid of frostbite tonight. David Williams is the tailback as we start the second quarter. Got a note from a Vol fan stuck on I-40 in the mountains. He wants us to send a St. Bernard his way. Williams inside the 40. Danny O'Brien with the tackle.
St. Bernard with a keg full of Gatorade, right? To keep him hydrated, of course.
Well, whatever.
Hydration is important.
They got 14 inches in the Tennessee mountains today.
You know, it's interesting. Last week, South Carolina opened things up. David Williams, 2 weeks ago, coming out of the bye week, had mentioned he thought the offense was going to go very run heavy. 75%, they thought. Wasn't necessarily the case last week. But you see in South Carolina, certainly capable out of their one-back offense and even two-back looks to get downhill in the run game.
Steve Spurrier said it was so important. That is a bullet behind his receiver trying to find Zamir Bird.
Yeah, you know, a lot of hands being thrown up. As we mentioned on the interception, as some flakes begin to fall, something's falling out here. I'm not real sure. But Dylan Thompson and Zamir Bird, that's twice now that we've seen in this game where both is looking at the other and wondering what in the world's going on. They're going to have to figure that out. It's already cost South Carolina one turnover. In this instance now forcing a 3rd and long with that incompletion.
Here comes pressure straight up the middle. Thompson took a bump, got rid of it. Incomplete juggling attempt by Jarrell Adams. And 2 if not 3 different Vols had a chance, including McNeil and A.J. Johnson, to pick it off the deflection. 4th and 7.
You know, Tennessee, once again, as I mentioned, they don't bring a lot of pressure. We've seen them blitz on a couple of occasions. That time clearly influencing the throw. As you see Dylan Thompson trying to deliver the football, and Adams, I think he could feel the tackle coming. He wanted to circle back against that ball. You could see him coaching up his quarterback. G.A. Mangus is another quarterback coach here at South Carolina. You get plenty of coaching if you're the quarterback for the Gamecocks, that's for sure.
Cameron Sutton will have a chance for a return. A South Carolina touchback to bring it out for Tennessee. Balls have looked good on offense. Meanwhile, a Volunteer State native, Steve Spurrier out of Johnson City, not too happy with his quarterback play tonight. All right, Dari, thanks. Here in Columbia, Justin Worley has made the trip down on his own. The South Carolina native thought he'd have a homecoming contest. That is not the case today. He's been beat up all season by this beleaguered offensive line and aggressive SEC defenses, and he may not return this year.
Yeah, they were young coming into the season. A lot of non-veterans. You had to basically graduate or lost their entire front line from a season ago. And Justin Worley paid the price. You could see taking shots. Almost 30% of their dropbacks, he got pressured. It was very rare that he was able to generate those numbers, 1,500 passing yards. Not bad considering the pressure he was under.
This offensive line has allowed 32 sacks this season. Not on that play. A strike across the middle for a first down to Ethan Wolf.
Ethan Wolf, he'd been targeted earlier. The ball was behind him. Josh Dobbs that time got the ball out on time and well placed. Allow Wolf to run through the catch.
Barnwood Lane straight ahead.
You could see coming into this game, and really even going into the Alabama game a week ago, Tennessee was one of the more inept run offenses in the country, 116th in the country. But the influence that a mobile quarterback has, where it holds linebackers at the second level just long enough to generate creases in the run game.
There's Dobbs taking his turn. Let's find out what Justin Worley's doing down there on the sideline as we check in with Heather.
Yeah, whenever the offense is on the field, he's paying close attention to what's going on. And when the offense comes off, he makes sure to make his way up and down the line, giving advice to everyone on the sideline, just being very involved, and obviously being a cheerleader right now.
And now he's got to think about a play call in his head as the Volunteers face a 3rd and 2. Hurd is the tailback. It's Dobbs with it. Nobody picked him up, and Dobbs kind of with a rope-a-dope run almost looked nonchalant to help save the sell the fake, and it results in a UT first down.
Great job by Dobbs, reading not only the defensive end, Bryson Allen Williams, but also second level crashes down inside. A lot of times they'll take a defensive end or the edge defender on the line of scrimmage and they'll block him, and that quarterback is reading the weak side linebacker.
Tennessee has been run heavy tonight. Incomplete, fallen on. It's ruled a forward pass anyway, as Jalen Hurd had a heads-up play to make sure it wasn't a live ball.
You certainly see the element that Josh Dobbs brings. You're talking about Justin Worley, an excellent passer, but given the difficulties that Tennessee had from a roster standpoint this year, it was important to get a mobile quarterback. Only 2 sacks last week.
2nd and 10, they're going to throw again, and that one was just a tick behind his wide receiver, his tight end Daniel Helm.
Look at Tennessee, you start out this series with an incompletion, you back it up with another incompletion with 10 to go. You're faced with 3rd and long. Last week they had better success, but they're averaging about 8 yards on these 3rd downs.
Four-man rush. Dobbs steps up, fires, complete. A first down for Tennessee and Pig Howard. That was a rocket across the middle, and Tennessee's got a fresh set of downs.
You see what Dobbs can do. He presses up in the pocket. Tennessee gets beaten right now. Marcus Jackson, who they just got back in the offensive front.
Back to the run game, and Lane. And he is limping forward after Gerald Dixon had him around the ankle.
Seeing, talking with offensive coordinator Mike Bajakian, what they wanted to be able to do is be a little bit more up-tempo. I think there's an opportunity to wear down South Carolina, knowing that they were throwing haymakers last week versus Auburn, to catch the Gamecock defense back on their heels.
Dobbs has brought a bolt of energy to this offense. Hit as he throws, incomplete. Trying to find Malone. Covered by Williams.
Again, pressure. We see Dobbs having to deliver the football. We talked about Justin Worley. This time, J.T. Surratt again. He's been a rock for the South Carolina defensive front that's seen names rotating through, especially at the end position. Back-to-back plays. South Carolina's able to get pressure, something they haven't been able to do all season long.
Late sub for South Carolina defensively. Dobbs, pardon me, this is Hurd, and he's got it straight up the gut for the first down. T.J. Gurley with the tackle.
A lot of movement on that one. You know, you see David Johnson's running out there for South Carolina, and then Dobbs motioned out late. Dobbs is number 11, Jalen Hurd number 1. Hurd ended up taking the direct snap, and it looks like that's part of the red zone plan for Tennessee to hop into the Wildcat.
Dobbs will take it this time, and he will keep it this time. Touchdown, Tennessee. Josh Dobbs with the carry. A 7-yard touchdown run. His first rushing touchdown of the season.
Certainly on that play, we saw Joshua Dobbs, a big gainer on the quarterback pull to the outside, and then the quarterback power, which was a play that Tennessee had not run all season long until Dobbs was inserted at the quarterback position. This time for 6 points. You could see that running game and what the quarterback run element can do for Tennessee.
Aaron Medley's extra point is good. And Tennessee in a must-win game. They need to win 3 of their last 4 to make it to a bowl. The Volunteers have a lead thanks to the arm and then the legs of Josh Dobbs, keeping the drive alive and then cashing in on his own. 14-7 Tennessee. Where's the duck? There he is. Let's take a look at tonight's Aflac trivia question. Tennessee has the 4th longest active scoring streak in the FBS. When was the last time the Volunteers were shut out?
That's going to be a tough one. I'll have to chew on that one for a hair. Lots of poultry and waterfowl involved in this sport already. See Joshua Dobbs. You were touching on a little bit, what he's brought to Tennessee offensively. It doesn't take anything away from Justin Worley, but given the difficulties that they had, the team that they had coming into this season, you want to get the guy another year of eligibility. But so far, he's played very well with his opportunities this season, last week, and now here tonight.
Sean Carson from about the 3. And he gets turned around in the middle of the field. Special teams tackle. Patrick Ashford, pardon me, that was Swafford. Devon Swafford with the turnaround. And tough field position for South Carolina. Is it possible for a quarterback? We know they can give an offense a boost. Can that boost carry through the other units on the field, including special teams?
Well, you see, just about anything with the energy on the sideline. But this has been a defensively led football team this season for Tennessee. A defensive unit that's played well. But you can see that if there's an area that struggled all season long, especially like in the run game, where Tennessee has really had a hard time getting that established. You talk to the coaches, they want to be a physical downhill running team. It can inspire that sort of performance for a defensive side of the ball when the offense gets going.
Another quarterback for South Carolina, Farrell Cooper, in a Wildcat formation. He's got 2 lead blockers in front of him. Outruns one guy, then finds the sideline, and that'll be close to a first down. Forced out of bounds by Emmanuel Mosley. The spot will be just shy. It'll be a gain of 9.
South Carolina falling down a little bit early. Last week, they were able to get ahead of Auburn, get on the scoreboard early, and maintain that margin until they were finally caught in the 3rd quarter and then lapped. And it may be important for their confidence that the offense is able to answer right here with this possession.
Mike Davis, touch behind the line, got a stretch for the first down. He's got it. Ryan Randolph escorts him out of bounds. Dylan Thompson, that time before the snap, you saw him turn to the South Carolina sideline and motion to a couple of his receivers, but those are the only two guys in the entire offense he was motioning to. Is that a giveaway that that's a dummy signal when you're only motioning to two guys?
Well, you'll see him sometimes, and he'll come up and he'll motion to just one side of the formation and end up throwing it to the opposite side. So you wonder, in their progression sometimes, you don't know necessarily where he's going to end up going with the football. Now, if he just goes up and only speaks to his offensive lineman and those receivers never look, it's pretty obvious what's about to happen. It certainly isn't going to be a pass play.
It's a pass play this time. Thompson goes to the edge. Nice hands catch by Damiere Byrd.
Damiere Byrd on the outside. We mentioned he can be a deep threat, so because of that, he's going to warrant some cushion from Tennessee. That time, Emmanuel Mosley respecting Damiere Byrd's ability to get downfield. His second reception off of 5 targets. They like him downfield, but they don't complete a ton of balls to Byrd.
South Carolina taking its time tempo-wise on this drive. Great coverage downfield. Thompson trying to direct traffic. And no gain on the scramble. Credit the Tennessee secondary.
Excellent job. And Dylan Thompson recognizing he was trying to direct traffic. And when he escaped the pocket, trying to see if anyone would break loose and come open. You'll see that on these scramble drills. Puts a stress on a secondary. So they have to hang with the routes. And, of course, the routes break down and the receivers are freelancing. That time, Tennessee secondary did a good job of gloving any receptions downfield.
Thompson's coming off of a game where he threw for more than 400 yards against Alabama. This time it's Cooper. Cooper's got midfield. Threw on the brakes, but dragged down from behind by Justin Coleman.
Pharoh Cooper, if you don't know where he is in the South Carolina offense, it's a big mistake because he's begging to hurt you. You see him right here, this time in the slot. And he's going to end up sliding out. You'll see this is a busted coverage clearly. That time, Justin Coleman was playing the inside on the hash, and he had to rally to that reception as Cooper was able to work back outside.
He's caught 4 of the 5 balls that have come to him so far tonight. Play clock at 2. Not a great snap, and we get a whistle and a flag and movement up front on South Carolina.
Before the snap, false start, 89 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Guys get antsy. You know, the quarterback's not the only one that can see the shot clock. This time it's Jerrell Adams. And when you're at tight end as well, it's not easy to see that football all the way on the inside. You just barely jump that count through the flag. And obviously no way to start that fresh set of downs behind in the down and distance, 1st and 15, and your offense is starting to move the football.
Thompson down the hash, complete. Cooper hung on. He took a big-time hit for Justin Coleman, but it's a South Carolina first down.
Well, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, Dylan Thompson apologized to Pharoh Cooper because he was getting punished, but he hangs on to the football. He's not scared to go over the middle and come down with these big catches in traffic, knowing that he's going to take a shot. And that time, that ball hung up just enough where Justin Coleman could get a nice shot, a clean shot, incidentally, on Pharoh Cooper.
Now they're going to ask Cooper to step into the Wildcat again after he just took a big lick. May not have great legs to run it this time. And he picks up a couple. That'll set up second down. I always cringe when a guy takes a big hit, maybe even it's a quarterback, and the offensive coordinator says, I want that guy carrying the ball this time.
Yeah, you wonder if he's got little cobwebs, a few bats flying around in the attic. He took a big shot right there.
Or just even, I'm not talking about as serious as a concussion, but
just tired?
Yeah, just taking a hit. Give a guy a break maybe.
Well, Pharoh Cooper looks like he's got pretty good stamina. Certainly Steve Spurrier trusts him 3 in a row now.
He's back at it again. And he's going to throw it. He's got a man open. Wilds is in. Touchdown, South Carolina.
know what? Maybe they were a little bit worried that Pharoh Cooper's legs were tired. But his arm was good and fresh. That time, Brandon Wilds, he was just offset to Cooper's right. We mentioned he made a completion to Dylan Thompson on a throwback last week. Now a touchdown pass to the resume.
And we are tied with 6:35 to go. Pharoh Cooper's QBR is through the roof over the last 2 weeks. He fooled them, sucked the defense up, and went right over the top. Wilds does the rest. As close as you can get in Columbia. Bold prediction. My man said Pharoh Cooper would have a big game. He has.
It wasn't bold enough, man. I went 200 yards. He's got 125 already. 3 different ways. We said early on that you better find Pharoh Cooper. Well, he's made his presence felt as a receiver on a number of occasions, downfield, and providing Dylan Thompson a strong target at his receiver position in the slot and taking some big shots. But he's also had 6 plays out of the Wildcat. We've seen him get into the end zone, and now he's helping his teammates, hitting Brandon Wilds. Right now, Pharoh Cooper, he's probably wondering, who is my position coach? Exactly. Because he's doing it all right now for South Carolina. You can see, the weapon that he is for this Gamecock offense. Only a sophomore. There's a lot more to come from him.
That wind gusting to near 20 out of the south end zone is taking the football off the tee.
Take a look at those flags. Ole Miss and Auburn facing off here tonight as well. Big matchup over in the West Division. A couple of top 4 teams in that first college football playoff ranking.
Evan Berry is the return man for Tennessee. This goes short. And it's Malik Foreman on the return instead of Berry, and he takes it out to the 29-yard line. Time now to answer tonight's Aflac trivia question. UT has the 4th longest active scoring streak in the FBS. When was the last time they were shut out? 1994 against Florida, coached by the head ball coach. Steve Spurrier was a 3-sport standout at Science Hill High School in Johnson City, Tennessee. He said, I got really excited to go back home and face the Vols when I was the offensive coordinator at Duke in 1982. They had Willie Gault, they had Reggie White, and we got him. They slept on the Dukies. We came back in 1985, got him again. He very nearly went to Tennessee as a quarterback, but he wanted to go somewhere a little more pass happy, so he ended up in Gainesville. Jalen Hurd has the carry. South Carolina has struggled against running quarterbacks and the Wildcat this season. Kentucky torched them with it a few weeks ago. And it's worked for Tennessee as well. Last week against Alabama, 70 yards on the ground, all belonging to Dobbs, the most prolific day rushing for a Tennessee quarterback since T. Martin opened the 98 season by running against Syracuse. This is Hurd on the swing pass. And Hurd takes it to the 36. That Syracuse win for Tennessee in 1998 turned out to be their closest game of the national championship season under Phil Fulmer. T. Martin had a great game running the ball, 80 yards on the ground, threw for 143. Jeff Hall hit a game-winning field goal as time expired. You know who officiated that one?
Steve Shaw.
Our buddy Steve Shaw. He is everywhere. Incomplete. Trying to find Jason Kroom, and the Carolina secondary and Rico McWilliams come up with a stop.
Rico McWilliams does a great job. This time he gets his hands on Kroom. He comes off the line of scrimmage and able to disrupt that reception. You see South Carolina on defense challenging the Tennessee receivers. Jason Kroom, a big target at 6'5", 245.
Pharoh Cooper is standing at the 25. See if Matt Darr can keep it away from him. Not a good kick. He kept it away from them all right. And he kept it away to the tune of about a 14-yard punt. We'll see where they mark it. Well, they're going to mark it past midfield to the chagrin of the South Carolina coaching staff. It's an 18-yard punt from Dar. Yeah, well, you know, it's the kind of day for new quarterbacks in the SEC. Dobbs here for Tennessee, and Kyle Allen got the start for Texas A&M. Not the best day for the Aggies, but they survived at home against Louisiana Monroe. Missouri went into first place in the East by doubling up Kentucky at Faurot Field. They won 11 of their last 13 in conference, and this will be the headliner. Florida took down Georgia and just take them down. That was a dismantling first win over the Dogs under a former Dog, Will Muschamp. What were you thinking watching that one today?
Yeah, that was an uninspired performance, to be sure, for the Georgia Bulldogs. And what a great effort by the Florida Gators. A dominating effort, largely on the ground, one back power, and they ran it right down their throat.
Dylan Thompson trying to set up the screen and nowhere to go. Sniffed out perfectly by the Tennessee defense. Brandon Wilds was thrown for a loss. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, one of the top tacklers in the SEC, in there for the stop for Tennessee.
It's interesting, you mentioned Steve Spurrier ends up going to Florida because they ran the single wing at Tennessee, and here tonight, South Carolina's made a lot of yardage out of the Wildcat. It's reminiscent of that single wing formation. It's amazing how cyclical football can be with the Gamecocks using that formation.
He said if Doug Dickey would have come in a couple of years earlier, I would have ended up in Knoxville. Thompson fires one to the outside. This is Cooper again. And the Farrow with another grab just short of the marker. Justin Coleman with the coverage. You know, since they moved Farrow Cooper around a lot, we've seen him in the slot. We've seen him be the outside receiver in Twins. Obviously in the Wildcat. It's called on a bunch of different volunteers to try and stop him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's going to spread out that defense as far as who's going to have to mark Farrow Cooper. And he's so active. They'll make him motion all the way across the formation. They'll move him around.
Reeves-Maybin showed blitz. They run it the opposite way with Wilds, and he has a first down. A.J. Johnson with the tackle for Tennessee.
That instance, you got Farrow Cooper out in the slot. Reeves-Maybin, a linebacker, matched up with him, but he was stacked by the safety, showing that they were going to bring the edge pressure. South Carolina, the just right play call to head to the right side of their formation, and enough to pick up the first.
Farrow's been matched up with a safety multiple times tonight when he's in that slot. No motion to that position now. Thompson nearly hit from behind, goes deep. It is incomplete. Demir Bird was his intended receiver. Cameron Sutton had the coverage.
Dangerous throw that time because that ball hung on Dylan Thompson. You see the pressure just getting there a hair late. Derek Barnett from his defensive end position. You can see the ball hung just enough for Cameron Sutton to almost undercut that route.
Thompson 13 of 20 for 173 yards and a pick thus far tonight. He's been a different player in the first three quarters for Steve Spurrier this season. This offense has gone into hibernation in the fourth quarter of their losses. Pressured again, flicks it down the sideline to Cooper, somehow wide open. And a first down for South Carolina. Dylan Thompson wanted a flag on a late hit.
A little short rollout for Dylan Thompson that time. It still ended up with pressure as Barnett fought through the block, and A.J. Johnson is there. But again, Farrow Cooper on the boundary, and Cameron Sutton having to close the gap to come up and make the tackles. You see Barnett blow right through Brandon Wilds and take Dylan Thompson to the ground.
I think that's Cooper's argument. He took 3 steps with me in his arms and then drove me into the turf. 7 grabs for Cooper over the century mark. Thompson steps up, buys time, taken down from behind. Barnett got him cleanly that time. Thompson thought he was free.
They really like what they have in Derek Barnett. There was pressure earlier, but Barnett was there to clean him up as Thompson was flushing up and out of the pocket. Another true freshman, another one of these young faces that Butch Jones is kind of forced into service, having to learn on the job of what it's like to play in this conference at the collegiate level. And he's really starting to come on with his play behind the offense's line of scrimmage.
23 freshmen for Tennessee, most in the country. That's the first Volunteer sack tonight. Play clock at 2. Straight ahead run for Davis to the 20. Barnett in on the tackle for Tennessee.
The challenge for South Carolina would get some of these passing downs. You got Barnett, who can come off the edge, and then Kurt Magette, who's another guy who's kind of worked his way back from a knee injury, number 56. And he's come on here of late, lost some weight, worked on his technique. You see him, he's on the right side of the formation for South Carolina at the top of the screen, and Barnett at the bottom.
They're coming free, both of them, to the end zone. Incomplete. Nick Jones was the man that Thompson was looking for, but he was hurried into that throw.
You see Thompson pleading with the officials because he's gotten buried once again. And this is just a 4-man rush. They're running games on the inside. And South Carolina getting beat in protection with just 4 men coming. And Dylan Thompson got planted on that last throw.
He's been in the turf a couple times on this drive, and on 4th and 14, Gamecocks line up for a 37-yard attempt. Elliott Fry, the kicker. Fish the holder, and that one is just outside. No good. The fish fry fails tonight with 1:20 to go in the second quarter. South Carolina misses a chance to take the lead on a field goal into the wind in South Carolina. You know who loves it? Butch Jones. Tied at 14 between Tennessee and South Carolina as the Gamecocks miss an opportunity to go ahead. Since 2000, it's been the most competitive matchup in the SEC. The average margin has been just over 8 points a game. Tennessee leads it overall, but the last 2 have been decided by a total of 5. 4 of the last 9 have been decided by a field goal or less. And last year, Tennessee was able to knock off the Gamecocks in a dramatic fourth quarter comeback in Knoxville and keep South Carolina out of the SEC championship game. Dobbs is going to take off with it on first down. Moody able to escort him out of bounds. Dobbs is one of those guys who runs so easy it doesn't necessarily look full effort.
Yeah, he's a long strider. So you look at him and it looks like he's almost coasting, but he's eating up yardage. That time didn't duck out too early. He was able to pick up as much as he can, but at 6'3", 215, he can chew up some grass quickly with those strides.
Averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. South Carolina brings 4. Dobbs over the middle. Complete. First down and another big lick put on. This time it's Alex Ellis who holds on. And with 1:08 to go, Tennessee threatening again. 3 timeouts remain for the Vols.
This is the danger that Lorenzo Ward was worried about. The challenge with a running quarterback, of course, and they've already seen it on that first down. To make South Carolina aware of it on a design QB run, you have to keep your eyes on that quarterback. And this time, South Carolina defended down on the turf.
That's T.J. Gurley. Out of Cairo, Georgia. He may have been involved with that hit and taken the worst of it on Ellis. That was, by the way, just the 3rd reception of the season for Ellis.
See Gurley able to get up and walk off under his own power. Good to see that. But Ellis doing his best Pharaoh Cooper impression. Making that completion and finishing the catch, knowing that he was going to take a shot. And not only was Gurley in the area, but Chris Moody as well, waiting on him when he came down.
Design run. Dobbs on first down. Picks up a nice chunk of yardage. There's a flag down. This Tennessee offensive line has been a carousel this season, especially in pass protection.
Holding, offense 75, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Marcus Jackson has been injured. He did not play against Alabama. He's back in there tonight.
And this time you see him, he's lined up right here in front of Jalen Hurd. This is a design QB run. You see Hurd kind of leading him up into the hole. A relatively clean play. I guess they're at the tail end. They were saying he had too much jersey.
Down the sideline. Got a man. Knocked away at the last moment. Great coverage and reaction by Rico McWilliams. Denying Marquez North.
Need a little bit more air under that football. You see Rico McWilliams running on the low hip, the inside hip of Marquez North. That ball just a little bit flat, a little bit underthrown. You mentioned the relationship that Dobbs has with North, who can streak down that football field to be a deep threat for Tennessee in the passing game.
32 seconds remain in the half. To the sideline. Jason Kroom. Third and 3.
You see Dobbs. They've given him some flexibility, of course. He's changing the play at the line of scrimmage after checking the sideline.
.17 seconds remain in the half after the incompletion, and 4th and 3 upcoming for Tennessee.
You know, that's one of those plays where, of course, no yardage gained. But the coaching staff at Tennessee are going to say, look, that's a wise decision. You don't want to take a sack, of course, and you have to burn a timeout as the clock winds down. Just throw the football away. Live to find another play, a chance to pick up a first. They still got 3 of their timeouts remaining.
Steve Spurrier rushes onto the field to get a timeout. He's not happy with his defensive substitution.
South Carolina, the first time out of the half.
That guy's running on and off the field, and so Spurrier knowing they're going for it on 4th. We can't afford to allow a score. Tomorrow on the SEC Network, we turn our attention to the hardwood. The Kentucky men's basketball team, #1 in the nation, gears up for its regular season with an exhibition game against Pikeville. Game is also live on Watch ESPN. Don Calipari will be platooning his top 10 players. See how that turns out for Kentucky. And thus far, this first half tonight has been kind of an ebb and flow. South Carolina offensively ditched the run, went with the pass. Tennessee has been pretty much all run tonight. And now it's their defense, much maligned this season, trying to get a stop. Opponents are 7 of 8 converting 4th downs this season.
Of course, that one stop in this ballgame on the goal line, and a big stop that it was in the first quarter. Tennessee's offense ready to strike. The only team in the FBS for the South Carolina defense that hadn't had a single stop of a 4th down attempt by an opponent. Be another great opportunity to get the stop here for this 4th down attempt by Tennessee.
TJ Gurley is back on the field. Now Tennessee uses a timeout. Joshua Dobbs getting the start for Butch Jones today is 7 of 15 for 124 yards through the air. He knows he's dealing with maybe an overmatched offensive line, I think fair to say, in the SEC. How does having Dobbs behind center help that O-line?
Well, it gives them so much mobility and escapability. And so even if you do get beat at the line of scrimmage, it could be dangerous for a defense. We've seen him tonight deliver some footballs after some early errant tosses. And he's had a relatively clean pocket at times, but when it has broken down, he's shown that escapability to get loose out on the perimeter in the passing game. And even on this possession here, going into half in the 2-minute drill, 2 quarterback design runs. That's an element of the offense that wasn't available to them with Worley at the quarterback position. And it expands what they can do offensively.
And it's really the perfect opposition for them. South Carolina only has 8 sacks on the season. 4th and 3. Dobbs is going to run it on 4th and 3. They've got timeouts left. He may not need them. Dobbs breaks to the outside. Touchdown, Tennessee, on a 36-yard quarterback run by Josh Dobbs.
You mentioned what Joshua Dobbs brings at the quarterback position, and it's not just avoiding sacks. 3 times on this drive, Mike Bajakian, the offensive coordinator for Tennessee, dialed up QB design runs, and the 3rd one was the dagger with only 7 seconds to play. Josh Dobbs able to cover the remaining yards needed for 6.
This was a surprise attack on a design quarterback run for Dobbs. With so little time left, looked like South Carolina was expecting pass.
They were. They brought 4. And that time, Dobbs does a good job. Marlon Lane looked like he was heading towards the outside to try to capture the edge. And Dobbs, he just stuck his right foot in the ground and came up underneath the South Carolina defense and was able to weave his way through the secondary, get all the way to the end zone. And you can see the difference that he's made in this Tennessee offense.
Already tonight, Dobbs taking control. He had 70 yards rushing last week against Alabama. It's a familiar refrain for the South Carolina defense. They have failed to identify quarterback running the ball, and it's happened to them all season long, perhaps at its worst against Kentucky.
Well, you can see Kentucky that they really ended up taking over the football game in the 4th quarter, running almost exclusively out of the Wildcat with little to no passing threat, something that, of course, Tennessee does have that element with Josh Dobbs, and certainly Nick Marshall as well last week. And coming into this game, defensive coordinator for South Carolina, Lorenzo Ward, mentioned he likes Josh Dobbs as a passer even more so than Nick Marshall, who's a veteran signal caller for the Auburn offense. You can see here tonight, so far it's been Dobbs on the ground that's hurt him.
Squib kick taken at the 19. There'll be a couple of ticks left if South Carolina wants to take a shot.
Such a big momentum swing when you're looking at closing out the first half. See both of these teams willing to go for it on 4th down. South Carolina with a goal line stand. It's been the Pharaoh Cooper show for South Carolina offensively. You see Joshua Dobbs, he's been able to hit a couple of big passes, but in the run game, he has been dangerous. And in that 2-minute drill, to get a score going into half is huge, knowing that you're going to get the ball opening up the second.
South Carolina will turn to the run on the final play of the half, and Davis able to get some yardage, but no points out of it. There may be snow on Rocky Top, but here in Columbia, the Tennessee Vols feel right at home with a touchdown lead. And as Matt said, they'll get the ball to start the second half. They need to win 3 out of 4 to be bowl eligible. That would be a big start here tonight at Williams-Brice. Let's go down to the sidelines where Heather's standing by with Butch Jones.
Coach, we've seen it all night long, but talk about your quarterback and what he brings to your offense.
Well, he brings another dynamic, and that's the ability to run the football. But I think that he's playing with great poise. He's been able to also distribute his passing ability as well.
This is a must-win situation for you. So how do you neutralize Pharaoh Cooper in the second half?
Well, every game's a must-win situation, but he's a great player. We'll make some halftime adjustments.
What are those adjustments?
I'm sorry?
What are those adjustments?
Well, again, we have to be able to adjust with our eyes, have some play-action passes off it. We're in position. We just have to tackle them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Right, adjustments to be made on both sides. It's a touchdown lead for Tennessee. Now let's take you back to the studio for 3 guys, none of whom are known as running quarterbacks. Here's Dari Noka and gang.
I believe that was aimed at you, since I've never thrown a football, and Boog hasn't thrown many either.
It has been the most competitive series in the SEC, and that's what we have tonight. Tennessee with a late second quarter touchdown has a 21-14 lead on South Carolina. Welcome back to SEC Network College Football Primetime. Tom Hart alongside Matt Stinchcomb. And over the next 2 quarters, this could be a season-defining result for both of these teams.
Yeah, putting South Carolina in a predicament that they haven't found themselves since 2007 when they lost 4 straight SEC games. Since then, this program has made such great strides, and then you're looking at Tennessee where their lone conference victory already coming versus South Carolina a year ago. Butch Jones looking to notch yet another one here tonight.
So Tennessee needs to win 3 or 4 to close the season to even get to the postseason. Let's get inside the headset, brought to you by AT&T.
You could talk to any defensive coordinator in the country, and especially in the Southeastern Conference, and they'll talk about what a huge headache it is to have a mobile quarterback. We saw it with the last possession for Tennessee as they were able to get a late touchdown to gain momentum going into half. You can see what Joshua Dobbs has meant for an offense that has been beleaguered by poor offensive line protection. And then Pharoh Cooper. They've got a zone read element to the South Carolina offense, but Dylan Thompson's not much of a run threat. Pharoh Cooper is, and now we've seen 2 games in a row where Cooper's able to make completions in the passing game. He's not the most refined passer in the world, but it doesn't matter. He's making completions in for touchdowns.
On design runs, Dobbs has carried it for a couple of touchdowns, nearing 76 yards. He should end up as the most prolific single-game rusher in Tennessee quarterback history with a couple of more carries. And Pharoh Cooper in the Wildcat has carried it for 29 yards. He's rushed for 1 touchdown, and he's thrown for another. So mobile quarterbacks giving both defensive coordinators fits. Landon Ard will kick it off to start the second half. Evan Berry to return for Tennessee. That kick was with the wind. This swirling breeze, it changes its mind seemingly every moment here in South Carolina. Let's check in with Heather.
Yeah, I asked Coach Spurrier at halftime how he stops Josh Dobbs, and he started laughing. He says he wants his defense to watch the quarterback draw, and offensively, he just says they need to run the ball better, but obviously very disappointed in his team's performance in the first half.
All right, Heather, thank you. You know, one of the things that has seemingly tied up defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward is his head coach's desire to play with 2 safeties. What effect does that have on them defensively?
Well, whenever you do that, when you're talking about playing with 2 deep safeties anyway, it's very difficult when you've got a mobile quarterback because you're at a numbers disadvantage, more blockers than you have defenders in the box.
And Dobbs will take off on first down and takes it up to the 30. Now, Alabama last week played with 2 deep safeties the entire game, and Kirby Smart, talking with the South Carolina coaching staff this week, basically admitted, A, we weren't prepared for Dobbs, and B, we weren't going to change our game plan once we got into the flow of the game. That's why we stuck with what we had.
It's difficult. You know, they've got that install all week long, but you see here, South Carolina, they were aware of the run element coming into this game.
Jalen Hurd carries for a first down, gains a few more yards. And when we talked with Lorenzo Ward yesterday and asked him how does he prepare for the quarterback situation in Tennessee, he said we are fully prepared for Joshua Dobbs not just to play, but to play the entire game. He said if Justin Worley ends up playing this game, that would be a benefit to us. So we prepare for the running quarterback.
And that was wise, given the difficulty they've had whenever there's been that run element, taking snaps directly from center.
This is Dobbs again. Dobbs threw a tackle, and he's got a first down.
And it's even more frustrating because you'll see defenders for South Carolina, they'll be in position to make a tackle at either negative yardage or no yards gained. In this instance, Joshua Dobbs running through arm tackles and picking up another 6 or 7 yards after contact.
It's the best rushing game for Tennessee quarterback in school history now. Dobbs with 110 on the ground. Jimmy Streeter owned the previous record with 106 against Auburn in 1979. And now Dobbs will throw. And he goes deep. Man coverage and incomplete. Here's the flag. Trying to find Pig Howard. And Rico McWilliams will get called for pass interference.
Pass interference, defense number 1. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
You see Pig Howard working against Rico McWilliams. Rico McWilliams kind of hand checking him and fighting him all the way down the field. You see Pig Howard, he was able to make a leap late. We saw McWilliams break up a pass. Joshua Dobbs tried to push it to Marquez North at that last possession of the first half. He's got a couple of pass breakups, that time flagged for the big penalty.
Dobbs leaves the quarterback spot. It's Hurd in the Wildcat. And Hurd laying licks as he's able to make a positive play on first down. Gain of nearly 5.
Yep, sorry. Case in point right there where you've got J.T. Surratt upfield and he's got an opportunity to get a negative yardage play and a tackle for loss. Hurd breaks that tackle, something that he's doing better and better, and is able to pick up 4 and 5 yards.
Dobbs has it again. He wants to throw off of it. Wide open and a low pass. Ruled incomplete. The defender had slipped and Dobbs couldn't get enough behind it. Ryan Jenkins was all alone. There's a flag on the play.
There's Bryson Williams that went down late. And as you mentioned at the redirect, lost his footing.
Ineligible receiver downfield, number 57. Penalties decline, 3rd down.
Matt Crowder, the center, got moving.
And you see those plays where you got an opportunity to give it or you can pull it, and then they have that little quick toss or a screen where they're daring the edge defender to either play the quarterback run, that time a lineman downfield.
Dobbs straight ahead. It's wrestled to the ground after a gain of 2. And that will bring up 4th down for Tennessee.
That time well defended inside by South Carolina, ready for the downhill quarterback run between the tackles. You see already so prolific with that run game at quarterback. Joshua Dobbs setting records.
Yeah, only the 4th Tennessee quarterback in history to have a ground game over 100 yards. That's a bit of a surprise as far back as Tennessee football goes. 43-yard attempt for Aaron Medley. Patrick Ashford is his holder. Wind will play tricks with this one. And it pushes it wide. No good from 43. Both kickers have missed in that end zone. So Tennessee unable to make it a 2-score lead. 21-14 Volunteers. Tennessee leads South Carolina. We broadcast today with heavy hearts here in Columbia. We may be a new network and a new crew, but we quickly became family. And so our thoughts and prayers are with our video engineer, Chad Hall, after the passing of his father, William Thomas Hall, back in Nashville, Tennessee. Chad, hope to see you again soon. We'll be thinking about you this weekend. And thoughts and prayers to your family. His father, William Thomas Hall, was 71. Carolina trails by a touchdown. 12:08 to go in the 3rd quarter. Option look. Mike Davis takes the pitch. He's got an alley on the sideline. And he stays inbounds for an extra yard or 2. Good blocking on the perimeter from Jarrell Adams.
That speed option seems to work every time for South Carolina. I'm trying to think of a time where they haven't picked up at least 10 yards. I've never once seen Dylan Thompson keep it. In fact, we've asked the coaches, and I don't know that he's ever even been meant to keep it. They get great width with that play. Also willing to get width with their quarterback as Thompson motions out.
Farrell Cooper again in the Wildcat. To throw again. He wants to go deep. And he put a little too much juice behind that one, trying to find Zamir Berg. All right, so that one sails incomplete by 15 yards after a deep drop. But in effect, this could affect Tennessee's defense going forward, or they just throw that one play out as an anomaly and say he's not going to try that one again?
Well, I mean, they've already hit one touchdown pass, albeit to the back out of the backfield, and Brandon Wilds. And Pharoh Cooper's aired it out before. Again, it was an incompletion. Not here tonight. So certainly what it tells the defense is that, eyes open if they can slip a receiver behind the secondary.
Incomplete. We'll bring up 3rd and 10. Adams, the intended receiver. Thompson again put on his back.
Again, you see, Dylan Thompson wonder what's going on in the route. And Brandon Shell got beat underneath at his right tackle position. He was banged up earlier. Returned to the lineup. That time an up and under move. And again, Dylan Thompson, the quarterback for South Carolina, winding up on the ground.
South Carolina 0 for 3 on 3rd and long tonight. Tennessee only brings 3. Thompson over the middle. Against the zone, it's complete. Inside the 40 to Adams. And a South Carolina first down.
And another excellent demonstration of focus. The South Carolina receivers, this time it's Adams from his tight end position. And you see him slipping right over the football in the soft part of the zone, right in the middle of the offensive formation. Thompson able to deliver a strike.
4 wide now, and again, that quick option read. It's Davis again. And Mike Davis with a hurdle. Inside the 20, and a flag will be a face mask. Tack a few more on for Mike Davis. And you're a little befuddled on how defenses don't see that coming and can't make a better play on it.
I mean, it works every time. We've seen South Carolina, and they're lost to Kentucky, but they were able to get out of a deep hole after a bad snap. Speed option. We saw it last week versus Auburn. Another big conversion using the speed option on a 4th down. Dylan Thompson's not a big threat to keep it.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Holding, offense number 89. Personal foul, face mask on the defense. Those fouls offset. Replay first down.
It wipes away a gain of 23.
Big Jarrell Adams, who made the catch on the previous play. And you see him right there working on Reeves-Maben. And you see the jersey getting pulled. I mean, those penalties happen within seconds of one another, involving the same defender. You see Reeves-Maben reach out and grab Davis's face mask. Part of the reason why he needed to do that partially is because Jarrell Adams was mugging him.
So back to the 40 for South Carolina. Low snap. This is Brandon Wilds. And he squirts through for a gain of 4. Corey Majid with the tackle for Tennessee.
Brandon Wilds, he's a big back. Mike Davis has got some speed, as does Wilds. With 6'2", 220, you could see him there. Those legs churning, moving the pile, and able to pick up another yard or 2 well after contact and pushing the scrum.
Blitz coming. Thompson off his back foot. Cooper lost it. He had it on his way down and went through his hands, and Karam and Pharoh Cooper at the 10.
Of course, the Tennessee defender is fighting, saying that Cooper pushed off. And again, Thompson, that time, Tennessee brought 4 weak. South Carolina jumping the football after the big play.
And now tempo, Wilds slices his way through to the 6.
Gotta be careful here. Last week they tried to get quick and they ended up with a couple of bad runs versus loaded boxes. But this time, and Pharoh Cooper looked that catch all the way in and was able to cradle it with his right arm to keep it off the turf. I'm with you. It looked to me like that ball might have squirted out there towards the end.
Beautiful catch by Cooper. 2nd and goal now for South Carolina after the Wilds run. Dylan Thompson will flop Jarrell Adams to the left side. Here's Wilds. Touchdown, South Carolina. An extra point away from a tie game. Second touchdown of the night for Wilds, 1 receiving and now 1 rushing.
It wouldn't be a touchdown scoring drive for South Carolina without a good bit of Pharoh Cooper sprinkled in there. Saw him with an attempt out of the Wildcat and then a fantastic catch to set up the touchdown run for Brandon Wilds.
The extra point is good from Elliott Fry. We are locked at 21. The Cooper grab set it up, and then Wilds took care of the rest.
SEC Network Primetime Football is brought to you by Gildan. It's about time you had a new favorite t-shirt.
The still photos and the live shots show great atmosphere here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Even the Tennessee fans who have made the drive down. We're tied at 21. Vols looking for their first conference win of the season. South Carolina needing to run the gauntlet and find a win against either Tennessee, Florida, or Clemson to close out the season. They have also got Vandy left on the schedule. They've got South Alabama left on the schedule to get bowl eligible. And as you mentioned before, Matt, it's been a long time since they lost 4 in a row in the SEC. Evan Berry won't return. Let's go back to the studio and check in with Dari.
All right, Tom, thank you much. Let's take a look at an SEC right now, brought to you by State Farm. Ole Miss and Auburn after consecutive Tiger touchdowns. Ole Miss down to the 2. Bo Wallace touchdown puts Ole Miss ahead. But, guys, Auburn is into the end zone as we speak. An extra point away from a 4-point lead in Oxford.
Wow.
What happens quick, doesn't it? Well, we just looked up there, and Ole Miss was up by 3.
192 yards on the ground for Tennessee tonight. You see how important running quarterbacks are in the SEC, both sides, both divisions, and it's Dobbs who is taken over here with a gain of 4. You know, Joshua Dobbs has been put in a tough position each of the last 2 years. They've been hoping to redshirt him, and each year they pulled his red shirt off against Alabama. Not only that, last year he came in with the ball at the 1-yard line against Alabama. Now, there are certain times where what's best for the program isn't what's best for the kid. And that would probably fit this situation here for Tennessee and Dobbs. Butch wants to get to a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to take a look at what this kid can do for your offense. Clearly, he was their second-best quarterback. They called on him last week. It's paying dividends this week.
And now they go to the jet sweep for the first time. As Vaughn Pearson, the junior college transfer, is able to take it out for Tennessee. They haven't done that much, even though they've faked it multiple times, just about every time they've run that play.
Almost like what South Carolina has done in the passing game with Pharoh Cooper, where a defense has to honor it. It means something, and it'll pull a defender out of the box, and it'll drag those linebackers' eyes outside when they blow Vaughn Pearson through the backfield. Now they've got at least one handoff.
This is Hurd, and he has no gain. And that will set up 3rd and a long 1.
There have been a couple of runs this year when we've looked at Tennessee on film where Jalen Hurd, as many strides as he's made as a runner, looks like a true freshman running back. That time, missed the cut. Could have pressed it a little bit backside and danced a little bit when you're just looking to pick up a first down with only 1 yard to go.
Tennessee's converted on 4 of 9 third down attempts. Dobbs has the first down past midfield. JT Surratt with the tackle for South Carolina. When we met with Lorenzo Ward after that Kentucky game, he said our problem on the quarterback runs was simply alignment. We had linebackers that were just a yard or 2 yards too close to the line of scrimmage. And the problem was, instead of fixing that one issue as Hurd takes it forward, instead of fixing that one issue, we kind of started over. We tried a whole new defense entirely. And we had an issue or two with misalignments or missed assignments in that defense. and it just kind of kept snowballing. His opinion was if they would have fixed their base defense and that alignment and had a better view from up top, they would have been in better shape. And now Lorenzo Ward has moved up top. He's been upstairs for the last couple of games after being on the field to get a bird's eye view. Dobbs to throw, and he's able to check down to his running back Lane. Lane steamrolling guys, and a first down for Tennessee.
That time Marlon Lane doing his best Mike Davis impression. We've seen the tailback for South Carolina with physical stiff arms. Marlon Lane, who ripped off a big run last week, shows up in the passing game this time as a receiver out of the backfield. Look at him just stiff arm TJ Gurley all the way down to the turf. That's a physical run after the catch by Marlon Lane.
He went through Gurley, and then he went through Jonathan Walton. Rico McWilliams was on the tail end of that play, and he's being tended to by the South Carolina athletic training staff. 6:35 to go in the third.
Part of South Carolina defensively, early on in the season, they were very active in their defensive front. A lot of movement, a lot of slants, trying to make up for the fact that you're basically replacing your entire front line. JT Surratt, the only holdover from a season ago. They were more shorthanded than they thought or anticipated they'd be coming into the season. And because of that, I think Lorenzo Ward was trying to augment some of it. Now they're trying to play a little bit more simply. Still having a hard time slowing down some of these offenses.
We just step away for a timeout here in Columbia, tied at 21. Well, an odd sequence for Rico McWilliams on that last play. First in pass coverage, he got banged up once. He got hurt again at the end of the running play.
You see him get tripped up, but he rallies. He got a little hung up, but he's able to get up and come up and try to make a play on Marlon Lane, and he gets a little chin music. Marlon Lane puts that orange stripe right on his chin strap. I think that may have been part of it. See him on the sidelines. Looks like he's probably ready to go. Got the helmet on, ready to get back into the fray. But he took a pretty solid shot at a Marlon Lane.
8th play of the drive for Tennessee. And around again. This is Big Howard on the jet sweep for the 26. TJ Holloman getting some time at weak side linebacker due to some injuries, and he's in on the tackle.
That's the big challenge. You look at some of these runs. You can hit them up inside with the quarterback keep. It's almost like an inverted veer in the old option offenses, but that fly sweep makes you honor the outside run.
They run it again. Lane hit behind the line of scrimmage or right at it. On this drive, Tennessee has run the ball 8 times. They've thrown it just once, and that was on that little swing pass out to Lane just moments ago, and an injured Volunteer.
I think it's probably Marlon Lane, the senior running back for Tennessee. I took Jalen Hurd to task for not just getting upfield on a second down run with only 1 yard to convert the first, and here Marlon Lane slamming on the brakes, and it looks like he might have hyperextended his knee, but just put your shoulder down and pick up that yard. You're right there at it. Jordan Diggs came up. May not be his knee, because he looks like they're working on his upper body.
The Tennessee fans will want to watch this one. Tune in tomorrow at 10 p.m. as SEC Network brings you a rewind of a classic SEC game, 1998. It was a top 10 matchup. Number 9 Arkansas versus number 1 Tennessee. 2 unbeatens battled it out as the minutes ticked down in the fourth quarter until Tennessee got the miracle it needed. Billy Ratliff recovered a Clint Sterner fumble as Sterner just put it on the ground, and then Travis Henry took over from there. I think Henry ran the ball 5 straight times after Tennessee recovered Sterner's cough up. And as excited as Tennessee fans will be to relive that one, Arkansas fans probably don't need to watch past the third quarter. I mean, that is a gut punch if you're an Arkansas fan.
Yeah.
That one play.
Take it easy on the Halloween candy before I watch that replay, that's for sure.
Athletic training staff still tending to Marlon Lane, a senior from Daytona Beach. His big run against Alabama went for 44 yards. That was the longest of the season for Tennessee.
Again, we look at it here. I was guessing it looked like he might have hyperextended his knee. Still kind of hard to see.
Yeah, they're looking at his left ankle and his left foot after he pointed it out to the training staff.
See Butch Jones out there checking on his senior back. He slammed on the brakes. Jordan Diggs was there to make the tackle.
Sorry, Matt. We've seen Hurd today. We've seen Lane. Not much of Darrell Scott, the true freshman who came out a couple of weeks ago against UTC. But essentially, Tennessee has featured 3 running backs today: Hurd, Lane, and Dobbs.
And that's the element that they didn't have. Dobbs is a ball carrier, but he's not lined up as a running back. He's that quarterback, and that's been the biggest change. I don't think we're going to see much more of Marlon Lane. He put no pressure on his foot as he left the field.
Dobbs has accounted for 122 out of Tennessee's 231 rush yards tonight. So the senior Lane to the sideline on 3rd and 1. Hurd back in at tailback. Hurd tried to dive forward, didn't get it. Well, that backfield got muddied up really quick. Golightly gets the credit for the tackle.
Juan Lewis came up as well from his linebacker position. And you'll see Hurd, he leaves his feet. Coaches that I had in short yardage, so you never dive. You run through for those yards. And again, South Carolina's defense able to force a field goal attempt on the end of the field. And as you mentioned, Tom, kickers are 0 for their last 2.
It's been an adventure, and this one from 45. Nope, not going to happen again. Missed field goal, missed opportunity. Tennessee once again misses, headed north.
Bang, 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 bang.
Those are the flags above the north end zone, and they'll show a swirling breeze. It's been gusting to nearly 20 miles an hour today here on the first night of November in South Carolina. And if you compare those north end zone flags with Old Glory, which is in the northeast corner of the end zone, sometimes they're all going different directions.
You can imagine being a kicker trying to play the wind in this one, especially when you're kicking at 40-plus yards. You know, Elliott Fry, who's, when you meet with the South Carolina coaches, Coach Spurrier will mention, we've got a pretty darn good field goal kicker. It's a 15-mile-per-hour gust, and it's swirling all over the place. We've seen him missed right and now missed left.
Freeze warning. These kickers might be frozen out by their teammates if they can't make one.
That's right. They better rally.
Mike Davis past the 30. The South Carolina offense is it's on a record pace in terms of scoring points and points per game under Steve Spurrier. But thus far tonight, it's really offered some question marks in terms of the play calling. 48 plays, 21 runs, and 28 passes. And only lately have they come back to the running game a little bit. They were way out of balance in the second quarter. Thompson to Cooper. Good hands. And that'll set up 3rd and short. You know, Steve Spurrier told us we've got to be able to run the football. And yet, that being the case, it's almost like he loves the matchups he gets so much. He can't help himself but send in a pass play.
Well, and you could see where, you know, last week, 50 pass attempts from Dylan Thompson. That's the most we've seen from the South Carolina offense. They threw 56 last year in an overtime effort versus Missouri. Really the only victory that South Carolina's been able to get when they attempt more than 50 passes. That's a ton of attempts. But they can certainly run the football with authority.
On 3rd and 2, they try to do just that. Davis will be held short, I believe. The yellow line, of course, is unofficial. He ends up lying over it. And we'll see if that affects the spot.
So far tonight, South Carolina 4 for 8 versus one of the best 3rd down defenses in the SEC.
4th and short. Dylan Thompson stays on the field. And a timeout taken. Steve Spurrier made huge gains on 4th down last week in their loss on the Plains. And with 2:55 to go in the 3rd, he's tempted to do it again.
We saw, you know, last week, and part of it was scoring pressure. We feel a little bit of scoring pressure this week. Back-to-back missed field goals by Tennessee. But you could see the quick pitch on the speed option. They're able to pick up his first down on the 4th on the minus side of the field. And of course, Pharoh Cooper, who's figured very prominently in the offense here tonight. Dylan Thompson on a keeper. They were able to ultimately convert 5 of those 6, but the final one that meant the most ended up coming up short.
He did not expect to be in this position tonight because he did not expect Tennessee's offense to be unstoppable. That's what he said Auburn turned into. He said we couldn't afford to give the ball back to him. We had to hold on to possession, if not score, because they were going to score every time they touch it. Now, Tennessee's not perfect. They're not scoring every possession, but they've been, from a yardage standpoint, almost unstoppable, especially with the quarterback run game. So on 4th and 1, they'll run it out of the shotgun. Davis hit, squirts forward, and he's got it.
What a great second effort by Mike Davis, because he was hit in the backfield. His momentum was completely stopped. You can see Kurt Magid down in around his legs, came up clean, and Mike Davis was able to maintain his balance and get that forward lean going to convert another 4th down.
1 of 2 tonight. Good protection. Thompson didn't think so. He scrambles, gets past Barnett, and he'll dance out of bounds just a yard short, I believe, of the first down. They'll mark him 2 yards short, actually. 2nd and 2. Marlon Lane just left the field on the back of a cart.
Not promising for the Tennessee offense. That time, you're right, excellent protection. Tennessee brought 4. Dylan Thompson had nowhere to go with the football. Sometimes you see that where the secondary is able to cover everybody up. You see Thompson, he's got a nice clean pocket to work with, and he misses a shot. Ultimately flushed a little bit early, but he had an opportunity to deliver it downfield.
This is Brandon Wilds. He's got a first down carry. Is that the tight end you were looking at when you said that he had a shot? Was it the tight end?
It looked to me like it was the wide out that time, but they'll flex him out. It's hard to tell from that second copy, but you see a receiver running free. By then, I think Dylan Thompson had already dropped his eyes. You know, as we've noted, these quarterbacks, they got a clock in their head. The protection was good that time. It hasn't always been here tonight. Dylan Thompson has certainly taken some shots.
That's complete to Terrell Adams, the tight end. A.J. Johnson forced into coverage against these really, really good receiving tight ends for South Carolina. And Terrell Adams having a big night. 4 grabs for 40 yards for Adams.
You mentioned A.J. Johnson in on that tackle, demonstrating some of his range. But the weapons that South Carolina has, Terrell Adams, he can run. They'll split him off the line of scrimmage this time. He's flexed off the end of the line. He's able to get separation and run better than most tight ends and still provide a blocking presence when he's attached to the tackle box.
Option look. This is Wilds. He goes right through 2 balls. Down the numbers. And inside the 15 goes Brandon Wilds. Jalen Reeves-Maybin finally takes him down. The last 3 of those have gone for big gains.
They work every time. Every single time. That time it was Derek Barnett in this defensive end position. Dwayne Hendricks actually. He collapsed just enough and bit on Dylan Thompson. Still baffling, I guess you got to honor it. And at the same time, how badly is he going to hurt you? Brandon Wilds on those quick pitches on the speed option. It's not him, it's Mike Davis. And South Carolina has killed defenses with that play this year.
48 yards in the second half for Wilds. Thompson on the rollout. End zone. Touchdown, South Carolina. Pharoh Cooper again.
See Pharoh Cooper working off the line of scrimmage. He's walked right up on. That time it was Justin Coleman, and then makes the breakout towards the edge in the corner of the end zone. Dylan Thompson able to find his favorite target. We're going to have to add an additional element to these scoring drives. There has to be at least one speed option and one big play from Pharoh Cooper. Those are the ingredients for 6 in South Carolina's offense.
Steve Spurrier wasn't really happy with his offense in the first half. He's got to like this.
He's throwing on the run. Dylan Thompson hits a strike for Pharoh Cooper. Well-executed play in that instance. South Carolina able to get it back ahead in this ball game. They opened up the scoring. They had an interception that allowed Tennessee back into the game and certainly on the scoreboard to knot it up at 7. It's been the Vols that have been able to answer and go ahead. This time now, South Carolina with a touchdown lead.
201 yards of offense for Pharoh Cooper. That should earn you a free dozen wings at Buffalo Wild Wings for your bold prediction, my friend.
I mean, again, I'm impressed by his performance and disappointed by my lack of boldness.
Yeah, it was not that bold.
I mean, 3 quarters of play, and the guy's got 201 yards of offense.
A milquetoast prediction pays off.
That's exactly right. Poor Buffalo. That was a mild-flavored Wild Wing.
Nine seconds remain in the third quarter. Four of the last 9 meetings between these teams have been decided by 3 points or less, so we should have expected a close one. Tomorrow afternoon, SEC Network brings you a full slate of volleyball action. First at noon, number 8 Florida heads to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. Then at 2, South Carolina battles Ole Miss. Finally at 4, Texas A&M takes the court against Missouri. All 3 games also live on Watch ESPN. The 2 ranked teams in action on the volleyball tripleheader tomorrow on SEC Network. Tennessee hasn't won here since 2006. Trailing by a touchdown. Butch Jones said at the half, all the games are must win. Jalen Hurd, no gain. Sherrod go lightly with the tackle. The Vols need a comeback. They need to win 3 of their last 4 to head to a bowl. South Carolina was a preseason top 10 team. Their struggles have been real, but tonight against Tennessee, continue to come out of their shell. And it's a touchdown lead for the Cox through 3.
Tennessee down 1. Worley gets the pass away down the field, and a one-handed grab. Jubilation for the Vols.
Good hold, good kick.
And it's Butch Jones' first SEC win.
That was last year when these teams met up. Michael Pilardi with the game winner from 19 yards out. The Vols snapped a 19-game losing streak against ranked teams. It was the first game-winning kick since James Wilhoit beat Florida in 2004. It's how close this series has been. This is Hurd, and one man is able to bring him down. That's been a rarity. It's Jonathan Walton.
You see Jalen Hurd. They've hit him a couple of times, able to get him on the outside, either with a quick swing pass, or they'll blow him through out onto the perimeter on a handoff. This is a big drive for Tennessee, needing to answer their last 2 drives, stalling out on the 25 and the 27-yard line and resulting in 2 missed field goals and affording South Carolina the opportunity to cede the lead.
Dobbs goes to the slant, incomplete. Oh, Chris Moody missed an opportunity. Off of Ellis's hands. And it snuck right by the safety, Moody. Regardless, it's 4th and 6.
This time, Dobbs fakes the pass to Hurd, who was in motion. They've seen him hit that pass a couple of times, and he comes back and tries to stick it in there quickly. That time, though, Ellis, who had the big catch right at the end of the first half, unable to hang on to that one.
Tennessee will punt it away. Pharoh Cooper has an opportunity. Oh, he misjudged it. It goes over his head. And instead of a chance for a return, Tennessee is able to flip the field. And it's down all the way down at the 16-yard line. A 54-yard punt. And that line drive barely missed the helmet of Pharoh Cooper.
Not a great punt, and ended up being a good result. Maybe the lone blemish on an otherwise great night by Pharoh Cooper. We mentioned the wind and how it's affected some of these field goals. You wonder how it would affect a punt like that one that was kind of a knuckler.
Dylan Thompson has been a great quarterback this season for South Carolina, but for some reason he's struggled in the final stanza.
You look at that QBR number, that's rated from 0 to 100. So you look at an average passer, he's at about 50. He's a quarter better in those first 3 stanzas, but in the final one, a 22 quarterback rating.
Thompson will keep it. Can't outrun Tennessee. And he's down for a loss. Heather with more on Dylan Thompson's struggles.
Actually, I'm talking about South Carolina. The offense is on pace to set a record for the most yards in scoring in history. But the one thing has been they've had a burden all season long in the fourth quarter. We saw this against Kentucky and against Missouri. Coach Spurrier said that his team cannot close out games. Be interesting to see if they can do it tonight.
Heather, thanks. Yeah, and perhaps one of those reasons is South Carolina has gotten very predictable in its play calling late in games.
You can see it, well, they'll go to the pass, and the difficulties arise there.
Incomplete. Trying to find Shaq Rowland, who hasn't been called on very often tonight. In fact, I believe that's the first time Shaq's been targeted this evening. He had a big game last week against Auburn.
Shaq Rowland opened up the scoring for South Carolina last week versus Auburn. He's been pretty quiet almost all season long, a guy that they want to get more involved. Damiere Byrd, clearly they were focused on getting involved in the first half. They come away from that. When you look at those QBR numbers, a part of it's a function of touchdowns to interceptions. 2 touches, 5 picks in the fourth quarter by Dylan Thompson.
3rd and 11. Pharoh Cooper got free. How did that happen? And he will win the foot race.
Make that 3 touchdowns. You see Pharoh Cooper, they like him in the middle of their trip set. This time matched up with Justin Coleman, and he just runs right by him, right down the seam. And Dylan Thompson, we just get done chronicling his struggles in the fourth quarter. And he says, take that, Booth. I'm going to throw a touchdown. And I'm going to go up and help my team go up 2 scores. We're trying to get to 500 in conference play. We got to get a win here. And Dylan Thompson hitting the biggest playmaker for South Carolina tonight, Pharoh Cooper.
These 85 yards add to the South Carolina lead, and it's the most prolific receiving game in South Carolina history. 233 yards for Cooper and another score. Wide receiver Troy Williamson has been bumped down in the Carolina record books. He had 210 yards against South Florida in September of '04. Cooper has sailed past that in the receiving category, but it's not all he's done.
No, he's done so much more for South Carolina here tonight. Hasn't been felt in the return game. Very disappointing, Pharoh, because otherwise he's contributed in just about every other possible way for South Carolina. A big play threat no matter where he lines up, whether he's a ball carrier, a receiver in the slot, or throwing touchdown passes.
85-yard reception to up his total to 286 on the day. He's thrown for a touchdown, he's run for 1, and he's received a couple. And I'll beg the question again, how on 3rd and 11 does Pharoh Cooper get open? I know how he got open, but how do you allow it?
Now you look at it, and the challenges that are made, a guy like that is the way they move him around the formation. And we mentioned they're going to challenge a bunch of different defensive backs in this game.
It turns into the longest pass play in the Steve Spurrier era for South Carolina. So now Tennessee is down 2 touchdowns with 13:23 to go. They've had a great day on the ground. The question begins, at what point will they have to put the ball in the air? How long can they stick with the ground game? Plenty of time for a couple of drives, you'd think, but that makes a sense of urgency to get some scores.
Yeah, they got to pick up some first downs. You know, that quick possession, and all of a sudden, your defense is right back out on the football field and you give up a big play.
Dobbs, the quarterback, has it, and he has a first down. So perfect start for Tennessee, trailing by 2 touchdowns to get the offense going. Chaz Elder with the open field tackle.
It's been both number 11s for these teams tonight. Pharoh Cooper and Joshua Dobbs not only running the football but passing as well from the quarterback position.
Big Howard has room. And he's corralled past midfield by Jonathan Walton. Remember, South Carolina is without Sky Moore. They're starting outside linebacker today, so Walton and TJ Holloman are filling in. Moore expected back next time out for South Carolina. Had an ankle injury last week.
You know, early, Tom, we were talking about how on the fly sweeps, Tennessee was just faking to either Von Pearson or Pig Howard. Now we're seeing more and more they're actually making the give, forcing the Gamecocks to defend sidelines.
And that may open up the pass. They go to Pearson. Just shy of the 40, a gain of 4. Chris Moody with the tackle. Second down for Tennessee. First pass of the drive. I think they've shown early on in this drive, and they've shown it all game, that they don't necessarily need to throw it in the air. They can get chunk yardage with the legs.
Of course, even if it is a pass, if something were to break down, Dobbs doesn't like what he sees downfield. He can hurt you in a scramble.
Flags down.
Prior to the snap, false start, 75 offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Marcus Jackson still knocking some rust off. That is obviously one thing they cannot afford. That's to go backwards, trailing by 2 scores in the fourth quarter.
And they just got him back, as we mentioned. A bit banged up, missed a start last week. Tennessee was pleased. Guys were forced into service. Brett Kendrick was in at the left tackle spot, but Marcus Jackson hurting Tennessee with a couple of penalties tonight.
Dobbs complete. Good for a first down to Daniel Helm. Injured player for South Carolina is Chris Moody.
Daniel Helm, big target, a big guy for Chris Moody to be running up on. 6'4", 240 is Daniel Helm. We mentioned Jarrell Adams is a guy that the offense for South Carolina will split out. Same goes for these Tennessee tight ends. And Chris Moody shaking up on the field.
Beautiful night in the capital city of South Carolina. Some precipitation earlier today. But it's not far from Columbia, just out in Lexington. They looked like they had about 3 inches on the ground.
They did. That little Reynolds Dodge Charger was doing great, though, man. I was amazed. So happy with all that torque, and still there was ice on the road. Wasn't so happy then.
Did you have any Buffalo Wild Wings in there, sponsor dropper?
Are we sponsored?
I don't know.
I know this, that I got a little nervous, that's for sure, because I wasn't anticipating a snow commute.
Out of the shotgun is Dobbs with the clock rolling in the fourth quarter. On first down, this is his running back, Hurd. It has turned South Carolina's defense into a guessing game between the quarterback and the running back. And then sprinkle in, as you mentioned moments ago, that wide receiver coming in motion.
Yeah, you get Pig Howard, you get Von Pearson, and they're forcing the defense to be able to run from the second level. In these inside runs, you're asking your 4-down linemen to win some one-on-one and sometimes double-team battles.
And now Dobbs to throw. Down the sideline, picked off! Intercepted by South Carolina's Bryson Williams. He got greedy, and South Carolina takes it away from Tennessee with a 2-score lead.
You called it, Tom, that time. Joshua Dobbs, and he never saw Bryson Williams. You'll see him come off Kroom, and he's just reading the quarterback's eyes. He was able to look into the offensive backfield and break off coverage. TJ Gurley running on the outside. And without Bryson Williams falling back in on that route, that's probably a touchdown. And in that instance, Joshua Dobbs never saw Williams drop off a Kroom.
And I don't know if Mike Bajakian sent in that precise play call, and we don't know if perhaps Dobbs checked to it, but the run and the running plays were nearly unstoppable. It seems there was no reason to attempt to pass.
Yeah, you see it. It's certainly dangerous. He's had some success tonight. South Carolina's defense able to come up with a big stop as Tennessee looked like they were getting ready to close the gap with an answer. South Carolina's been here before with a 2-touchdown lead late in games.
By the way, that was Tennessee's third possession inside the South Carolina 30 in the second half. They got 0 points to show for it. And those fourth quarter meltdowns that you mentioned, both coming in SEC play, had a 13-point lead on Missouri here at home. Wasted that one away after a couple of chunk plays from the Tigers. Had a 2-touchdown lead on the road at Kentucky. And Kentucky turned to the Wildcat to come from behind on it. Trying to ensure that doesn't happen here tonight as Mike Davis takes it to the 10. A.J. Johnson with another tackle from his middle linebacker spot.
And incidentally, it would fall to the South Carolina offense to try to possess the football. And versus Kentucky, they were unable to do that. They had a 3-and-out that led to a tying touchdown for Kentucky, and then 2 interceptions. And offensively, they would play well, but then incapable of maintaining possessions, extend drives, and kill the game. They were able to do it versus East Carolina. They were able to do it versus the University of Georgia. Here they have an opportunity, 9.5 minutes to play yet, of course, to milk some clock and maintain possession of the ball.
Thompson brought down short. A couple of teams came up short tonight. Finals just now. Mississippi State held off Arkansas for a touchdown win, and Auburn over Ole Miss 35-31. So if you're just flipping over to catch up with what's going on here, let's boil it down for you. Tennessee has turned to Josh Dobbs. Their run game has been unstoppable. South Carolina has essentially turned its offense over to Pharaoh Cooper, and he has been untouchable. And moments ago, a Tennessee interception thrown by Dobbs with the Vols in prime scoring opportunity gave it back to South Carolina, but the Gamecocks unable to pick up a first down. So they'll give it right back to Dobbs and the Vols. And they'll have plus field position. There went off a volunteer foot, fallen on by South Carolina. Did it hit his heel or not? South Carolina thought so. The officials didn't.
It looked like it went off the leg of number 7, Dre Bowles, I believe. The punt return team. Rashawn Golden.
Oh, South Carolina touched it immediately prior to that.
He sure did.
And if it hadn't been touched by number 21, it gets kicked. And South Carolina gets it. Well, the home crowd at Williams-Brice Stadium saw what we saw live, and that's that it was kicked by Tennessee. But upon review, it was evident that the ball was dead as soon as Marquise Roberts touched it for South Carolina. Crisis averted for now for Butch Jones in Tennessee. Back to the offense in a moment. Celebrating its 10th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. Since 2005, Allstate has contributed more than $3.6 million in scholarship funds. We left some money on the table tonight, I believe. 3 missed field goals, all headed towards that north end zone.
You gotta have great hands to field some of those field goals.
Well, Tennessee bailed out after that interception by Joshua Dobbs on the last possession. They missed a scoring opportunity for sure, but not much time ticked off the clock, and they're able to get the ball right back in South Carolina territory. Stick with the ground game. Jalen Hurd has a gain of 9, if not 10, right off the bat. And that makes that decision to throw into coverage, not just throw into coverage, but to throw the ball even more perplexing. on the previous possession that brought an end to the possession. And an injured South Carolina player is Marquise Roberts.
We've had a number of South Carolina injuries tonight. And of course, Marquise Roberts from a linebacking position, it's like a right shoulder injury probably when they're grabbing that collar like that. Already thin without Sky Moore, their leading tackler. Marquise Roberts was a guy they wanted to get into the lineup, liked his enthusiasm, got to play versus Kentucky extensively, and he's gotten more and more minutes. See him holding that shoulder.
Hurd into the secondary. First down, Tennessee. Walton with the stop.
Right away, you can kind of see this Tennessee run game you mentioned on the previous possession. You got some injuries defensively for South Carolina starting to wear down South Carolina.
And now they go to the pass, and Pearson able to pick up 3. Two-headed monster in the running game. Joshua Dobbs and Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd having a nice night as well. You can see that what a running quarterback has meant to him as well, and the attention that it draws for a defense.
Dobbs got spun around at the 20, and that cost him a couple yards. Sherrod Golightly brought him down with an arm tackle. Now Golightly is banged up. Sherrod Golightly has been an impact player tonight for South Carolina, and it was a night that started with their defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward expecting to keep the spur on the bench and go with 5 down linemen more often. We haven't seen that plan take effect.
No, we hadn't seen it. You know, they've made some changes, of course, though. Bryson Allen Williams, who started this season as an outside linebacker in their 3-4 set, a 3-4 front that they actually went to earlier this season, thinking they could get more linebackers and skill players on the field. We take a second look, you see Golightly coming in low. Kind of hard to see where he would have been injured. That's a consecutive plays now. We've seen South Carolina defenders come up a little bit slow.
Rico McWilliams got hurt earlier this quarter. Marquise Roberts, Sherrod Golightly. So Kawan Lewis has been on the field at middle linebacker after the loss of Roberts. 7:23 to go. And Golightly helped off the field. Tennessee looking at a 3rd and 5. They closed the first half with a 36-yard touchdown run from Joshua Dobbs in a scenario where South Carolina was expecting them to throw.
Well, you've got a 3rd and 5. You've got almost 2/3 of a linebacking core that's new now. Jordan Diggs coming in for Sherrod Golightly.
Dobbs hit in the backfield, taken down by Diggs.
Well, South Carolina has rotated defenders all season long. Jordan Diggs, he's gotten some substantial minutes here tonight. You see some substitutions. David Johnson running onto the field. Tennessee staying over the football, looking to get a big 4th down conversion and trying to come away with points near the red zone.
Dobbs wants to set up the screen. Hurd has it. Spins his way to a 1st down. He is in. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Coming into the night, Jalen Hurd was 13th in the SEC among running backs as far as yards after contact. This time as a receiver, he's able to shed tackles and get into the end zone on a huge 4th down conversion. The Tennessee offense finally able to get some points out of these trips inside the South Carolina 30.
That is the 2nd time tonight Tennessee has scored a touchdown on a 4th down play outside of the 20-yard line. Dobbs from 36 right before the half, and then Hurd 21 on the screen, and they had multiple opportunities to bring him down.
They bring Jordan Diggs off the edge, and you see J.T. Surratt hitting Dobbs as he delivers it. Broken tackle, 2 broken tackles now. That time Jonathan Walton incapable of getting Jalen Hurd off the spin move. And you see that, it was Bryson Williams who came in low on the initial would-be tackle. And Jalen Hurd, the true freshman, he's caught a couple of nice passes out of the backfield on swings. And that time on a screen pass, not a whole lot of blocking in front of him, and he did a lot of that on his own.
6:34 to go. South Carolina's lead is down to 7.
We talked about it a little bit, Tom, earlier, where we've seen South Carolina, 14-point lead at Kentucky, 13-point lead versus Missouri. It's not all on the defense. The offense has an opportunity to move the football, gain some field position, make an offense drive the length of the field. Instead, South Carolina offensively goes 3 and out. And Tennessee has a less than 50-yard field to work with on that offensive possession, and it came away with 6.5 minutes left to play. That's more than enough time for Tennessee to continue to chip away at this lead. 1 score away from taking a lead.
You got some great returners short for South Carolina at the 30. Damiere Byrd and Pharaoh Cooper both standing at the 30. And the deep man is Sean Carson. And it is a short kick. Carson takes it on a hop. If those guys can block. Fights his way to near the 20-yard line. McNeil with the special teams tackle for Tennessee. So those fourth quarter collapses have come in a variety of ways for South Carolina. Part of it against Missouri was coaching. South Carolina did not go for 2 when they should have, and they failed to get a key 4th down. They allowed Missouri to hit on a big chunk play or 2 after forcing the Tigers to punt on 10 consecutive drives. And then against Kentucky, Steve Spurrier told us, you know, we went to the 2-minute offense too soon. They went to the 2-minute offense when it was a tie game. Batted pass, an interception return for a touchdown. The defense failing to stop the Wildcat. And it was a disappointing loss for South Carolina up in Lexington.
And you look at it, it's not just the turnovers versus Kentucky. It really hurt them. But as you mentioned, it could be something as simple as a quick 3 and out. It's almost like a turnover, especially if you got the football deep in your own territory. This time South Carolina working with a little bit better field position than they did on the previous possession.
Blitz was coming. Thompson over the middle. Incomplete. And I think part of it, and maybe a big part of it, comes down to play calling. I mean, it did in our minds against Kentucky when they went away from the run. And it probably had an effect as Jordan Williams is down on a knee.
Yeah, and meeting with Coach Spurrier after that, you know, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. We were here for the Furman game, and you know, he was willing to, you know, look back and say, look, yeah, maybe we did. Maybe we could have run the football a little bit more and add some balance. In that game, they were dominant. You know, he was more than comfortable running the football 15 times on that opening drive and went right down the football field. We've seen that before. Here tonight, it's been more creative, to say the least, with Pharaoh Cooper in the passing game and the Wildcat throwing passes. We've seen some deeper balls.
And we talked about it, you know, we talked about it at the beginning where Steve Spurrier was at his best play calling against Auburn when they were able to throw caution to the wind, kind of open this offense up wide because they knew they weren't going to beat Auburn without throwing the kitchen sink at them. Now things changed a little bit. With 6:22 to go in the fourth quarter, you just went 3 and out. How do you balance productive play calling with conservative play calling?
Yeah, when he's looking at it right here is obviously you'll take points on the big yards, but you just pick up 10 at a time. What you don't want is the quick turn that they had on the previous possession. And now, of course, you're facing a 2nd and 10 behind early in this possession.
And flags.
Prior to the snap, false start, 75 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Will Sport.
And now you dig an even deeper hole. Look at his 2nd and 15 now. You still do some things, but ultimately you start talking about looking at obvious passing downs. We're talking about play selection. You dig a 5-yard hole in addition to a 2nd and 10 scenario. This time they're going to have 4 wideouts.
One of those, the tight end Adams. Same side as Cooper. Thompson trying to look that way. They flush him the opposite way. Directing traffic. Stops, takes a hit, and goes down. Quarterback sack for Tennessee and Kurt Magid.
We talk about Kurt Magid, how he's been coming on. Derek Barnett earlier in this ball game, and Magid this time able to track down Dylan Thompson. And Dylan Thompson once again, the protection is not bad initially, but there's nowhere to go with the football downfield. Everyone gloved. That time, throw the football away rather than take the big loss. And now way behind after the false start penalty and sack.
Second sack for Tennessee tonight. Thompson has room to run if he wants to. Now he will tuck it to the 30, and he gets forward for the first down. His coach called him out after the Auburn game. So we can't afford to step out of bounds or slide. We need to pick up the first down, and that's what Dylan Thompson did.
Well, that time, Cam Robinson gets beat around the edge, or Corey Robinson rather. And Dylan Thompson, opportunistic as a runner. He's not lethal. We've seen him try to keep it on a couple of these pitches. I'm starting to wonder if he's got the Booth bug. We're talking about he never pitches it or never keeps it. That time, tucks it, runs it, and able to pick up a crucial first.
It's his longest run of the season, covering 20 yards. And now they can get conservative, and that will be a big gain for Brandon Wilds. Down the sideline for South Carolina. Touchdown, Gamecocks. 70 yards for Wilds. It just got a lot colder for Tennessee fans.
You talk about mobile quarterbacks. Dylan Thompson picks up a first down, and then Brandon Wilds, he's able to just seal it up on this possession to get it all the way down for a big touchdown, a key first down, and then a big run for a touchdown on that possession. South Carolina was doing nothing but going backwards before that scramble by Dylan Thompson.
Would you believe that the play selection is now just about balanced? 33 rushes, 34 passes, 66 plays, and 622 yards of offense for South Carolina. South Carolina has put this one on ice seemingly with 4:52 to go.
You see the defense for Tennessee, they were misaligned earlier. This time A.J. Johnson's going to kind of plus. You see they got two tight ends over here to this side of the formation. What ends up happening is right guard Will Sport, number 75, is going to get up on A.J. Johnson and seal him. And it's off to the races by Brandon Wilds. Nice block by Clayton Stadnick at the center position. And you can see Butch Jones not happy. This defense has done a good job all year not giving up big plays. That time could have been a killer.
70-yard sprint after the 20-yard quarterback scramble. It is the most prolific stretch of offense in South Carolina football history. 4 consecutive games of 500 yards or more. They had 548 against Auburn, 548 against Furman, 535 against Auburn, and before that, it started with a big game of 500 even at Kentucky. Tonight, 622 yards of offense for South Carolina. Tennessee has scored 2 touchdowns on 4th down tonight. Pharoh Cooper has set a school record for receiving yards with a big night. He's had a hand in 4 touchdowns. Josh Dobbs has set a Tennessee quarterback rushing record with 136, 3 touchdowns for him. It's the 3rd time under Steve Spurrier the Gamecocks have had 600 yards of offense. Their school record is 656, set against Vandy in October of 2001.
And now it'll be incumbent upon the defense, again with a 14-point lead, less than 5 minutes to play in the ball game, to keep this offense out of the end zone.
Jalen Hurd on the reception, picks up 8.
And with that amount of time, we're talking about balance earlier. But right now, Tennessee They don't have to go to full 2-minute mode. There's still time left, but they will go up tempo. This is something that they want to do anyway, to be over the football quickly.
Dobbs has it. Steps out of bounds after picking up the first down. Run out by T.J. Gurley.
We've seen this Tennessee offense operate very efficiently. Right before the half, Joshua Dobbs on 3 quarterback design runs, able to pick up big yardage, ultimately converting and getting a touchdown right before half. With 4 minutes, a full complement of timeouts available, still plenty of time left to stay with the run game and be balanced in their approach.
Instead to throw. Open field stick by South Carolina.
Jordan Diggs has been in there. He came in when Go Lightly came out at that spur position. He's a big linebacker type. This Spur's a bit of a hybrid. They'll flex him out and play him in coverage.
Nice grab coming back to the football by Pig Howard. Rico McWilliams back on the field for South Carolina.
Rico McWilliams just singled up on Pig Howard. Not a ton of separation. Well-placed ball by Dobbs, allowing Pig Howard to come back to it. Rico McWilliams, tight coverage, but unable to defend that pass.
3-man rush. Dobbs on the sideline. Batted away. Rico McWilliams says, not in here.
It's twice now, heading this direction, incidentally, that Dobbs has tried Rico McWilliams. Did it in the first half, and this time, once again, the ball a little bit underthrown. Trying to get it to Josh Malone, who was able to score his first career touchdown last week versus Alabama in his only reception. Going to have a catch here tonight.
Pearson to set up 3rd down. More importantly for Tennessee, the clock goes under 3 minutes.
Starting to tick away. You see Dobbs as they continue to substitute. Working down the line of scrimmage. You'll see they're now in plus territory. A chance to pick up a first.
They'll try to do it with Dobbs' legs. Good vision. First down. A few more. Still going. And tracked down at the 30 by Walton.
Once again, and we saw this before in the 2-minute drill with Joshua Dobbs. That time, they designed it again where they're looking for him to pick up the yards. Defenders turn their backs to the line of scrimmage, and he's got room to run.
He saw the pressure coming. Trying to tightrope it down the sideline. Incomplete. Jason Kroom was his intended receiver. Not a bad play for Tennessee. It stops the clock. It leaves 2nd and 10 with 2:12 to go. 3 timeouts remain for the Volunteers. They need 2 touchdowns.
He had Jonathan Johnson wide open down the seam on that one. That time, as you mentioned, it's okay result, of course, but it's 6 if he sees Johnson downfield.
South Carolina uses a timeout with 2:12 remaining. They pulled the red shirt off of Dobbs with Justin Worley injured last week. And he came into this game as a reputation as an erratic passer. And he got off to an inaccurate start thus far early tonight in the first quarter. But here in the 4th quarter and on this 2-minute drive, he has made some plays with his arm. It may be when Tennessee goes to the film room to look, some missed opportunities once again with some open receivers. It will be his undoing tonight.
Well, you know, he's still young in this season, but you're going to see Jonathan Johnson. He's right here, and he's just going to run straight downfield. He's going to come free. Joshua Dobbs, he just never sees him. You see him kind of stepping up into the pocket. Probably took his eyes down to look at the rush before he flushed to the right. Jonathan Johnson was available. Would have been unhindered, I think. He would have walked into the end zone.
Dobbs 8 of 11 in the fourth quarter. Another completion. Pig Howard down to the 3. Clock will stop for a moment to move the chains, a gain of 27.
So just get done talking about you missed a shot, and then he throws a dart right in the middle of the defense. Pig Howard again able to come up with a reception in traffic.
Dobbs to scramble. Touchdown, Tennessee. We've got an 8-point game waiting on the extra point. Third rushing touchdown of the day for Dobbs. And perhaps most important on that drive, Tennessee was able to pocket all 3 timeouts.
Precious. They'll prove to be precious in this next possession, of course. South Carolina. If South Carolina gets the ball back, when we look at this play, you had 2 quarterback design runs on this possession. We had 3 in the 2-minute drill, and once again, Joshua Dobbs able to engineer a drive to get his offense in the end zone and within a touchdown. You see Dobbs, he just drifts just a little bit to the left, and again, middle of the South Carolina defense, opportunity. And then the QB design run, you see it there. It will step up right underneath the pass rush, walk into the end zone untouched.
Josh Dobbs on the night has put the ball in the air 30 times. He's completed 17 of them, 228 yards. 157 yards on the ground is a Tennessee rushing record for a quarterback. And 3 touchdowns on the ground. That one interception sure did look like a backbreaker. And then Tennessee came back and got a score moments later.
He's had a whale of a night. You're right, that interception hurt, but they're able to get the ball back after a quick 3 and out. 228. And you look at what he's been able to contribute on the ground with 157 rushing yards. And it's not just his numbers, but the contributions of a Jalen Hurd. He's got 19 carries for 112 yards. And part of that is because of the respect the defenses have to pay to a quarterback that can run the football. Jalen Hurd, not just as a ball carrier, but also in the passing game.
If you're Tennessee, you onside it here?
They're setting it up for it. You steal another possession. We saw this last week. South Carolina was looking to try to get just that. They were trying to climb back into a ball game and steal another possession. You see Tennessee going to take a crack at getting the football back for their offense.
Aaron Medley, the freshman kicker from Lewisburg, Tennessee, look for the high bounce. And South Carolina came jumping over the top to get it. Guess who it was? Pharoh Cooper. He has been all over the field for Carolina tonight.
It really is remarkable. I'm starting to wonder if Pharoh Cooper is a shapeshifter or something. I'm not sure. You see it Karam initially, and Pharoh Cooper just comes flying up to make this grab. It took about 5 yards worth of turf up with his visor.
Beaver pelt in the face mask for Cooper.
Probably just helping out the grounds crew locate an irrigation line. He's done just about everything else for South Carolina tonight. Able to field that onside kick. Tennessee trying to grab another possession.
3 timeouts remain for the Volunteers. They need a stop to get the ball back. Mike Davis inside the 40. Butch Jones will use the timeout. Tune in tomorrow at 10 p.m. as SEC Network brings your rewind of a classic game. 1998, Arkansas versus Tennessee. 2 unbeatens battled it out as the minutes tick down in the fourth quarter. Into the Vols got the miracle they needed. It's also available on Watch ESPN. Sometimes you need a break. Maybe that's the quarterback tripping and putting the ball on the ground. Volunteers could use a break like that tonight.
Yeah, you look at Butch Jones pacing the sidelines. He was riding for the 2nd straight year a 4-game losing streak versus his conference play. He recognizes they don't have much margin for error. You look at it, you get bad run fits. After a quarterback scramble, you give up a touchdown in a tight game, a seesaw battle. You're incapable of recovering an onside kick after you're able to drive down the football field, not need a big stop to get the ball back.
Davis picks up a couple more. Jalen Reeves-Maven on the stop. That will leave third down. Another Tennessee timeout. Tennessee has had missed opportunities this season. You could pinpoint that Florida loss as one that should have been a Tennessee win. I don't know how you would view this one at the end, because these are two evenly matched teams. I don't know that you can fairly say that Tennessee should have won this game, but they had opportunities.
Yeah, I think you could substitute could have, and moments in this game would have won this ball game. And you look at it, credit South Carolina for battling back. You look at Tennessee, where right going into halftime, knowing that they were going to get the football back, with South Carolina able to get some stops, get penetrated inside the 30-yard line 3 different times. You miss 2 field goals, you get an interception. The defense able to come up with some key stops and key moments.
So those 2 SEC losses by less than a field goal against Georgia and against Florida. And maybe that's the difference for a program that was decimated by coaching turnover and the loss of talent. And Butch Jones is trying to rebuild. And they get a sack on Dylan Thompson as Barnett comes in and throws him to the ground. Thompson has wanted a flag all game, and he hasn't gotten it. And I don't know if he should or shouldn't. But that's going to be a loss of 8. And Tennessee takes a timeout with 1:33 to go and 4th and 12 coming.
You see it's a short rollout. Thompson didn't like what he saw. Didn't want to throw the football away, and you see it there at the end.
It was the extra drag after Dylan Thompson was already down.
You see Mike Matulis come in there. They missed him early in the season. Thompson goes down, takes the sack.
It didn't help that he got a shove afterwards.
And he's been doing that a lot tonight. And more than any offensive lineman would ever want to say, you turn around and look at the film and you see your quarterback having to pick himself up off the ground after these pass attempts. That time, he ate the football.
So 1:33 to go, and South Carolina looking at a 4th and 12. Will bring the punt team on. Evan Berry has had some big returns for Tennessee this season. He hasn't had a chance tonight. This will be Cameron Sutton in to return this one. Tyler Hull to punt it away. Volunteers out of timeouts. They've got 10 on the line.
They're coming after it.
Can't get it. Sutton asks for a fair catch and lets it hop. It'll be down at the 15 with 1:23 remaining. 30-yard punt from Tyler Hull.
We've seen this before. We look at this South Carolina team. This time, this would be to tie it, but a defense that has had difficulty in fourth quarters. We touched on it earlier. You look at the leads. 13 points Missouri, 14 points at Kentucky. Their defense in Kentucky, final go-ahead score was a pick-6 on the offense.
And Tennessee afford to run it with the clock situation and no timeouts. A pass for a first down and a big gain to Pig Howard. He's all the way past the 45.
So Pig Howard again. Von Pearson was underneath, drug TJ Gurley inside, opened up just enough room to get the ball over top to Pig Howard.
Gain of 31. Dobbs, pump fake. He's got all day if he wants it. Incomplete. 61 seconds remain as Tennessee tries for a furious fourth quarter comeback. They've been down 2 touchdowns twice.
Keeping in mind, too, as well, that South Carolina defense has to be aware of Josh Dobbs. When they send vertical routes downfield, they have to be aware, especially at the second level. They've only got 3 down linemen in the game. And when Josh Dobbs, if he doesn't like it, tucks and runs, he has to get to the boundary. But he is a threat in the run game.
Out of the backfield, he finds Hurd. First down and out of bounds. Just shy of the marker, I believe now. We'll see if they give him the first. They'll mark it just before the yard line that he needed. So it'll be 3rd and short. That's not quite irrelevant, but the game clock is the main issue. Dobbs, quarterback run. First down will stop the clock for a moment. Scramble out of bounds will help.
That's the piece. That's what we're talking about, where obviously these are passing downs, but you look at Josh Dobbs. If he can leak out and get downfield, get positive yardage, and make sure that he gets over there and out of bounds, get the clock stopped and allow the offense to reset.
Over the middle. Complete. Pig Howard. 43 seconds. Plenty of time.
An eternity, and you see Dobbs able to get his offense set. Not overly urgent, no over the football, ready to snap it. Want to make sure they get in the right play and communicate.
Incomplete. 26 seconds left. And now that length of time they took to get that play off may limit them in what they can do in the run game.
Ended up taking a little bit longer than he probably would have liked as we walked up and down the line. As you mentioned when you first noted, 40-plus seconds on the clock. Usually close to 20 beyond that. And with 26 seconds to play, the clock stopped. But now you've got 3 more downs to play with.
But no timeouts left. It'll be tough to run in between the hash marks. So Dobbs will choose to throw. He's flush. He can run. He's got all day in front of him. A flip for a first down and out of bounds is Hurd. 19 seconds left.
No timeouts. The clock stopped. Jalen Hurd was able to stand right on the boundary. And Dobbs, as you mentioned, could have tucked and run it. Saw a chance to get it downfield, and South Carolina wants to make sure that they get this right.
Twice this season, South Carolina's defense has folded under pressure in the fourth quarter. A surprising loss at home to Missouri against a Missouri team they had stuffed and forced to punt on 10 consecutive possessions. And then at Kentucky, they could not stop Kentucky's Wildcat offense. And they're off, and South Carolina threw a costly pick 6. And now with 19 seconds left, Steve Spurrier needs just one stop from his defense, with Tennessee looking at a 1st and goal from the 9.
Well, there in that huddle, you saw Bryson Williams. He got a turnover. Tennessee trying to throw it into the end zone earlier in this half. We've seen South Carolina hold up the big goal line stand on a 4th down run in the first quarter. That's what this defense needs to be thinking about. You got to learn from those previous failures. Right now, you got to think about those recent successes in this game, knowing that you've got a 19-second clock and a 1st and goal scenario to defend the end zone.
1,245 yards of total offense tonight combined, and it's all about these final 9 yards for Tennessee. Dobbs, end zone, incomplete. Rico McWilliams, another denial. Swatted away from Pig Howard.
Great job by Rico McWilliams. We've mentioned him on a number of occasions. And you see him there, able to get his left hand across and in front. Pig Howard didn't like the contact. McWilliams was flagged earlier in this half for a PI. We've seen him defend a couple, and you can see both of these teams starved for victory. And it's coming down to the wire.
2nd and goal, 15 seconds left. They roll the pocket, pressure coming. Dobbs, end zone, touchdown, Tennessee! Jason Croom was all alone. An extra point away from a tie game. Bedlam in the Tennessee stands.
Probably some celebrations on I-40 somewhere right now as well. You see that? Yet another touchdown scoring drive engineered by Joshua Dobbs, and he is growing up before our very eyes.
The snap was high, the hold bailed him out. And with 11 seconds to go, we are locked at 42.
Jason Croom, number 18. He just stops, makes it in the end zone. He's all by himself and unaccounted for. South Carolina brought edge pressure from either side. A lot of attention to Von Pearson. And nobody left. Jason Croom with only one other reception in this game. And he is able to get maybe the most important one of the night to tie it up.
Remember when we met with Steve Spurrier yesterday, and he was lamenting the fact that he's only gone to a few overtime games in his career, and it always seems to come against Tennessee.
Yes, you know what? You're right.
And
he sure did.
And perhaps the biggest win in Tennessee history prior to the Fiesta Bowl in '98 was knocking off Florida at home in overtime. In a game that saw the goalpost and a couple of CBS goalpost cameras end up in the Tennessee River.
Well, he's headed for another one here tonight. And we mentioned earlier, you know, the meaningfulness of this game, not only to these two programs, it's obviously a special one. Kid from Johnson City, Tennessee. But you look at Joshua Dobbs, a kid from Alpharetta, Georgia, and he has been the difference maker for Tennessee here tonight. That quarterback position, not only keeping plays alive with his legs, but keeping his head in the game. Didn't let that interception rattle him. And Tennessee was able to knot it back up on an impressive drive.
Not a bad return for Cody Gibson. Tennessee says they have the football. Do they? Cody Gibson took it out to the 40 on the squib kick. I thought for sure he was down. And it will be South Carolina football with 7 seconds remain.
Keep in mind, Cody Gibson, the former offensive lineman. He hadn't caught a whole lot of balls, not known for their ball handling skills, but it looks to me like he was down.
I don't know. That ball was out. I thought it got punched out on his way down, which is why it ended up below his waist and not near his shoulder pads. And it wasn't in the hands, but in the legs of the Tennessee defender.
Hard to tell from that angle.
The previous ruling of the runner being down is under further review.
And you see there, and you wonder, that time, looked like it was Justin Coleman who came in.
That's out. That ball is out. And then the next question is who recovered it.
Well, look at his right knee. Here's the ball. It was the ball. Can we see if the ball's out before his right knee touches? It looks like it is. That ball's so low. But the question is, can you make out? You could assume that the football was out earlier, but it's hard to see it come out initially.
Well, I saw it out between his legs with his knees still in the air. Question is, was his shoulder down? Was his elbow down? It's a moot point, depending on who recovered it.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
So 7 seconds remain.
Cody Gibson breathing a sigh of relief. He comes over there. Used to wear a 70 number. He moved him over to tight end. Out there on the return team, it almost was a near catastrophe.
Wilds. And that's how regulation will end in a Wild game. 42 all. And we're headed to overtime. We're tied at 42 and headed to overtime, and we're only here because Joshua Dobbs was able to engineer an 85-yard drive with no timeouts remaining. And a guy who set the Tennessee quarterback rushing record today did it not just with his legs, but through the air. A couple of chunk plays to eat up that yardage and put Tennessee in position. From 9 yards out, Dobbs was able to fire it to the end zone.
He's definitely feeling it. You can imagine the level of confidence he must be able to draw from putting together two-minute type drives at the end of either half. One to gain momentum heading into the first half, and then of course the second to get his team back into contention. In this instance, force an overtime period. You see Joshua Dobbs, one of the captains tonight for Tennessee.
By the way, Butch Jones spent that entire time discussing that kick return with the officials right in front of the Tennessee bench. They said the call was confirmed via video replay, which means that they saw visual evidence to suggest that Cody Gibson was down.
South Carolina has won the toss and decided to go on offense. Tennessee, first down. I'm sorry. Correction, they chose to go on defense. First down, Tennessee.
So here's your refresher on NCAA overtime rules. The coin toss has been decided. Each team with one possession from the opponent's 25 per overtime until we have a winner. Game clock's off. And when we start the third overtime, offenses must go for a 2-point conversion.
We've seen tonight Tennessee have their difficulties once they get the football into this area of the field, in the third quarter especially.
16th overtime game for Tennessee. South Carolina has lost a pair of games to Tennessee. Tennessee's overtime record is second only to Missouri for the most all-time overtime wins in NCAA history. Missouri came into the season 11-5 in extra periods. And to both kickers' delight, they're avoiding the north end zone, where 3 field goals have been missed tonight.
You had to know that that had been part of the consideration.
Dobbs on a design quarterback run, and it's played perfectly by South Carolina. A gain perhaps of 1. Gerald Dixon with the stop. We talked about Tennessee's offensive line struggling all season, but this running quarterback has given them a new lease on life.
Yeah, we've seen it, even the yards before contact. Those were scarce before Joshua Dobbs was inserted into their offensive lineup, able to get running backs cleaner upfield.
This is Hurd, and he is bowling over Gamecocks to pick up a Tennessee first down.
Jalen Hurd. Talk about Joshua Dobbs coming of age, a true freshman in Jalen Hurd tonight. Not only just as a ball carrier, but as a receiver, lining up outside and also out of the backfield and finishing his runs and carries with authority.
Hurd taken down in the backfield. Bryson Williams got a little banged up on that tackle.
And Bryson Williams, we mentioned earlier, got the interception of Joshua Dobbs earlier in the fourth quarter. but a sure tackler in the open field, and that time able to come up and make the tackle on Jalen Hurd after the reception.
2nd and long. Hurd stretching. Open field stop by Jonathan Walton.
We talked to the Tennessee coaches, and they talked about the speed of the South Carolina defense and how active they were. This time Jonathan Walton filling in for Sky Moore, known for his closing speed. And you saw him make up ground quickly on Jalen Hurd to deny the yardage.
End zone, incomplete, no flag. Kroom the intended receiver, Gurley the coverage. And Tennessee forced to go for 3 on the first possession of overtime.
See Dobbs just a little too far out in front. Gurley on Jason Kroom's back. Kroom made that tying touchdown reception all by himself in the end zone. That time had plenty of company with TJ Gurley on.
32-yard attempt for Aaron Medley. Got it. South Carolina knows what it needs to do, trailing by 3 in overtime number 1 in Columbia.
Coming into the game, the Tennessee defense, we mentioned that they're good versus the pass, have been coming into this game. Pretty strong on 3rd down as well, outside of the Bama matchup they had a week ago. But in the red zone, last in the SEC, every single trip that their opponents have made down inside their 20, they've come away with points. 100% the opposing team's offense is facing this Tennessee D. And of course, Dylan Thompson takes the field. Field goal ties it. Touchdown secures the victory for the Gamecocks.
South Carolina's offense is on a record-setting pace this season, and tonight they're averaging more than 9 yards per play. 71st play of the night on this snap for South Carolina. Pressure coming. Thompson taken down. Quarterback sack by Corey Majid. It is the 4th of the night for Tennessee.
We talk about it coming off the edge. Watch him get upfield quickly and close. Get skinny on the edge versus Brandon Shell, who was banged up earlier. And Kurt Majid is rounding into form. He missed a couple of seasons with a knee injury. That's a big sack. You push them further. That's a 52-yard field goal if they don't make any yards.
Edge is crashing again. They got him again. Back-to-back sacks. This time, Derek Barnett.
We talked about it earlier, how much they like Derek Barnett. And Kurt Majid, this time it's the left end. Derek Barnett working against Corey Robinson. And he just edges him right now. Both of them speed rushes and running the arc. That time from Dylan Thompson's blind side. Now you're looking at a South Carolina offense doing nothing but going backwards.
Their kicker's long is 45 this season. 3rd and 25. Dylan Thompson running for his life. And a 4th and 25 coming up. Thompson threw it away. South Carolina had a 2-touchdown 4th quarter lead. They allowed an 85-yard Tennessee drive to tie the game when the Volunteers had no timeouts.
Coach Spurrier's down on the field right now picking up his call sheets.
This was in the opposite end zone. And now Elliott Fry, whose season long is 45. Not even close. And for the 3rd time this season, South Carolina has seen a big 4th quarter lead melt away in SEC play. Butch Jones has his first SEC win of the season. And a hard-fought, heartfelt victory for the Volunteers, scrambling their way back for the win.
Seeing the end of this game, the true freshman, Jalen Hurd, Derek Barnett with a sack, and then the veteran and Kurt Maggitt coming off the edge. And you can't say enough about the fight in this Tennessee Volunteer football team. Coach Jones mentioned it. He wasn't sure he had a single guy on his team that had ever won an away game that involved an airplane ride. If they out on a bus, they had an outside shot. The guys actually knew what it looked like to win. This is the second year under Butch Jones' tenure at Tennessee, could be a building block for the balance of this season as they work towards the postseason.
Matt, with 1 minute and 51 seconds to go, South Carolina was up 2 touchdowns. That lead evaporated quickly thanks to the play of Josh Dobbs. Dylan Thompson was thrown around like a rag doll tonight by Tennessee's defense, sacked 5 times, including twice in overtime.
It's amazing how the South Carolina offense, he was one of the better protected quarterbacks when you look at the number of dropbacks in the SEC. Only 4 other quarterbacks have faced less pressure. But in key moments, and especially here tonight, Tennessee was able to get pressure and not only sack but harass Dylan Thompson. Were it not for the heroics of Pharaoh Cooper, there wasn't a ton to speak of. You look at South Carolina, fueled by the efforts of number 11, a big run by Brandon Wilds. You look at the Tennessee defense, was able to come up big. Let's talking red zone defense, Tom. They had the ball at the 25-yard line. They were nowhere near the red zone by the time that possession ended.
4 straight SEC losses for South Carolina. And the reaction from the Tennessee sideline. Butch Jones, the Saugatuck, Michigan native, has his first SEC win of this season. And the Volunteers continue their rebuild as they take a step closer to the postseason. They now need to win 2 of their last 3 to make it there. They've got Kentucky, Missouri, and Vandy left.
You look at them coming into this game in conference play, only 16 points. This time they're able to knot it up and hand South Carolina yet another fourth quarter collapse loss. You see it there. Missouri, Kentucky, and now Tennessee. And South Carolina is left to pick up the pieces yet again. A prolific offensive night, but not enough at the back end, offensively or defensively, to come away with a win.
This game was seemingly over when Josh Dobbs took over at his own 15-yard line with no timeouts remaining, and what had been an erratic arm through the previous 3+ quarters. And then all of a sudden, a guy who'd been unstoppable with his legs turned unbeatable with his arm.
They've had weapons at Tennessee all season at receiver, and when Justin Worley had time to work, he could be very dangerous. But what Dobbs has brought is exactly what this offense has needed and lacked, is an ability to open up a run game, draw some attention from the defense to allow their running backs and even the quarterback to contribute with their rushing attack, but also neutralize pressure. You take a guy like Joshua Dobbs, who's as dangerous as he is and has proven to be tonight in the QB run game, and you're loath to collapse that pocket too quickly and break contain. It makes it dangerous, and you can see why every team covets a mobile quarterback.
Heather Mintz is standing by with the winning coach, Butch Jones.
Coach, you kept talking about the competitive character of this team. Once again, we saw it tonight. Talk about your win.
Resilient, great composure at the end. We knew we were going to win the game all week. It was just a confidence that we had all week in our preparation, and it was like slow motion. We just knew we'd find a way to win the football game. We needed this. Vol Nation needed this.
Talk about Josh Dobbs and his performance tonight.
Well, great performance. Very composed young man, very poised, but it was everyone. Our defensive line in overtime really dominated the line of scrimmage.
Your first SEC win. How do you build on this performance versus Kentucky?
Well, again, we'll take a bye week. We'll get ready. Kentucky's a good football team, but we're going to enjoy this one.
You should. Enjoy it, Coach. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the fourth quarter and overtime, Joshua Dobbs 15 of 23 for 168 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 8 rushes, 44 yards and a touchdown, and he's standing by with Heather Mitz.
You single-handedly won this game tonight. Talk about your performance and your team's performance.
It was a team effort. I told the defense from the beginning, we have your back. However many points the other team puts up, we'll put up more. And it just came down to that. It was a dogfight, and we came out with a team win, and it was a great win.
You set a record tonight in quarterback rushing. I mean, just talk about tonight. What was working for you?
We just executed the game plan. The offensive line did a great job opening holes for me. Jalen Hurd did a great job keeping us a balanced running attack. The receivers were coming down with great catches, so it kept us balanced on offense. So it was a great team effort. We'll definitely take this win into the bye and finish out the season.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
For the first time since November 17th of 2007, Tennessee comes from behind after trailing by 2 touchdowns or more. They beat Vandy then. Tonight, they were down 2 touchdowns with 1:51 to go, and they win in overtime against South Carolina. 45-42 our final. Coming up next, it's SEC Scoreboard. For Matt Stinchko, Heather Mitz, and our entire crew, I'm Tom Hart. So long from Columbia, South Carolina.